Hello, everyone. This is Wongi Plays. I'll be one of your commentators for tonight. And also on the commentary, we have Glacial here.
Yep. Hi, everybody. You might have heard me if you watched a couple of races from earlier this week. I'm back.
So yeah, welcome to the stream, everyone. So today we have a match between Dirt and Strifesada, or Strife in short. And actually, oh, my mic, okay. And actually, personally have raced against these two before, so maybe I can give a slight introduction to the two runners before we go into the race. So on the left side, we have Dirts here. Actually, I believe he has joined the Arasenko Bengo community not too long ago, so while he does have a lot of experience just playing Pokemon, he may be fairly new to... Oh, 1 second. Okay, there we go. Just a little bit of commentary set up in the background that I forgot to do. But anyways, back to the topic. So yeah, Dirts is fairly new to the community, but he has quite a bit of experience with Pokemon. And I've personally raced against him, and he is pretty good at racing in this full item randomizer mode. So it's going to be interesting to see how he holds up in this tournament race. And on the right, we have Strifesada, commonly known in the community for his absolute hate for Morty and everything he stands for, and also Buxy. He also hates everything that Buxy stands for. So yeah, he's been around in this community a lot. You may also be familiar with him through Pokemon Emerald communities, because he does a lot of Emerald stuff as well as Pokemon Mystery Dungeon randomizers as well. So he is pretty much everywhere, but he's also very familiar with this full item randomizer format. So both of these racers are pretty experienced in this tournament format. So it's going to be exciting to see how this match unfolds. I'm expecting a pretty close match.
Yep.
Experience with those two runners.
Yep, and it's interesting because I commented a race with Strife the other day, actually, not realizing that both I was going to be commenting one of his races and that he is one of my opponents. So I'm actually going to be racing both of these runners sometime later this week. So that'll be fun. But I was talking with Strife a while back, and Strife is very much of the opinion that first person to do Morty loses. So if this is a Morty required seed, Strife is already going to be having some difficulties. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. We'll see what happens. This is going to be fun, though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It looks like the timer's just started, so we're about to get ready to go. For anybody who is new to the concept of Pokemon Crystal randomizers, first off, hi, welcome to the community. We love to have you. Second, let's talk just a little bit about what's going on. So the absolute goal of this race is to be the first person to reach and beat Red. And Red has holed himself up at the top of Mount Silver, which is locked by 16 badges that are required to actually reach there. Once you have the 16, you talk to Professor Oak, he opens the door, we go on from there. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we go and we battle Red. But to get there, we're going to need a couple of items first. First and foremost, we're going to have to actually make our way to someplace other than South Johto, which is where the game starts and is where you're locked until you find either the pass or the Square Bottle. But before we get a little too far ahead of ourselves, let's check our starts. We got a Phanpy, we've got a Diglett, and we've got a Chansey. I don't love any of those choices.
Yeah, none of these starting options are very good, so I could only imagine both runners are looking to find the different main Pokemon that they can get through these fights with. And here you see a little bit of divergence here. So Dirt opted to choose the Chansey, while Strife chose the Diglett.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and that's an interesting choice on Strife's part, because choosing the Diglett allows him to actually encounter the Chansey as a Pokemon on his rival. And for anyone who has played Pokemon before, Chansey and its evolution Blissey provides a load of experience for beating it, so...
Yep, the trade-off is that they are special tanks. If you're using just a pure special moveset, you're going to struggle against that. However, I like the Diglett choice anyways, because I'm pretty sure of the 3 listed Pokemon, and I could be totally wrong on this, I might be thinking of a different gen, I think the Diglett is the fastest, and I'm pretty sure that your run % chance from wild encounters is based on your speed.
Diglett is probably the fastest one out of the three, if not the second fastest. So I like the choice here as well.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Dugtrio was either the fastest or the second fastest Gen 1 Pokemon, so...
And on Stripe's side here, we see that he does a save reset here after picking up the item there, so that he has to tread through a little bit fewer patches of grass to avoid an encounter, but unfortunately he does find one encounter there.
Yeah, I think the reset is worth it if you were going to encounter at least one encounter in that grass, but if you get through that grass scot-free, it's actually slower because of the reset time. It's just a coin flip, you know. You do what you're most comfortable with. Dirts has already made it up to the next route and found the Glacier. What is with these early badges?
We're already starting with 2 badges here. And Glacier, of course, unlocking the use of Whirlblast out of battle.
Ooh, there's a Gengar. Sorry to cut you off. There's a Gengar. Gengar's base special is 130. It's real high. It lacks in some other areas, but it's quick and it hits really hard. And if this thing has an even remotely decent moveset with a guaranteed Surf later, it's Fire Blast Horn Attack. I don't know. I'm not in love with it. It might be okay if they find some TMs.
For sure. Having to rely on just Fire Blast, which has only 5 PP and also it being inaccurate, it's definitely going to be rough to run as your main attacker for now.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's only one encounter between here and Violet City. And once they make it to Violet City, there's the Ruins of Alph checks. There's a bunch of other checks on the way up there as well. If a TM for Thunderbolt or Psychic or something like that shows up, it might be worth considering. Of course, saving TMs for later is also a good strategy, because if you find the pass early, you're going to be dropping whatever you find here anyways when you get to Kanto.
For sure. And here we see a slight difference in what the both runners are doing. So Strife actually does another save reset here to reset out of Mr. Pokemon's house, so that he saves on some movement there, because those items that were gained from the house were not required for the finish here.
Yep. He saves on some movement, and he also, if he ends up having to physically go back to Newbark Town for whatever reason, he's also going to skip doing Rival 1, because the flag to set Rival 1 to show up is the phone call that you get leaving the house.
So Strife will save on some time for that phone call and that encounter, but
Sorry, that's so unfortunate. So they started up the battle, and Dirt's actually got there first, but he's trying to run the Gengar, which has the Fire Blast Mud Slap. And the very first Pokemon was the Rock Water type Omastar, which quad resists fire. So that took him a little bit longer than was planned. At the same time, though, Strife actually fainted to the Kadabra, I think.
Yeah, his Diglett was not quite good enough to get through the youngster there, but he comes across a Snorlax here. Snorlax, of course, being very slow, but also being very tanky and has a very high attack stat.
Yeah, and it's also normal type, which shouldn't really be understated how useful that is. So first off, it gets stab normal type moves, such as Headbutt and Body Slam, which makes them incredibly powerful. Also Strength, when and if that shows up. But also, normal type is an underratedly good offensive and defensive type. It doesn't excel at anything, but it's also not bad, because it only has one weakness and can hit everything except 3 types for neutral damage.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big proponent of normal type moves and normal type Pokemon being really good.
For sure. I also value normal type for the very same reasons as well.
So the Snorlax has Thunderbolt, which is unfortunate because Snorlax has a base attack stat of 110 and a base special of 65. But Thunderbolt is such a good move that he's going to be able, if he wants to, he's going to be able to use this Snorlax until at least like level 15 before it starts to fall off a little bit.
For sure. And especially in this early part of the game, really, more than base stats, your move set matters more. So having Thunderbolt, even with such a low special attack, will be more valuable than
Absolutely.
anything else here.
Absolutely. So Durst did something that we refer to as a sequence break. So in the logic, there is a set path that the game expects you to be able to go to this item, then this item, then this item, then this item. And in doing so, it will guarantee a couple... Ooh, hold up, never mind. That's a Dodrio. So everything I said about normal type attackers being really strong... Oh, hold up, he doesn't seem interested. He looks like he's running from the Dodrio. Yep. So everything I said about normal type attackers being good applies to Dodrio as well, but it's also flying type, which means it gets a couple other really decent moves. He's run from it. He's not really interested in it. I think he's probably looking for a special type. But going back to it, it's called a sequence break. It breaks the logic because the game never expects you to have to do any caves in the dark. You're always guaranteed to find Flash and the Zephyr badge before you need to do a dark cave if a dark cave is required. Both of our runners have elected to navigate through this cave in the dark, though, which is probably a solid plan. I like it a lot. They find TM22. We don't know what it is yet. It could be good. It could be nothing.
And on Dirt's side, looks like he's very happy with Electabuzz there. I think I saw Psychic in his moveset, so...
Oh, wow. Okay, so if the Electabuzz has Psychic, that will definitely carry him through to at least Goldenrod. But if I'm him running an Electabuzz with Psychic, knowing that Electabuzz is not amazing, like not on the tier of things I would like to run, I'm hoping to find the Pass instead of the Squirt Ball.
Okay, so one of our viewers informed it's Crunch and Psychic.
Okay, yeah, that's quite good for a special attacker.
And actually, Dirt's here finds something interesting here. He finds the Old Rod in the Escape Rope Chamber here, so... If he's not too happy with his Electabuzz, so yeah, here we go. He's going to try to fish up at least one of the 2 fishing slots here to see if he can switch to a different Pokemon. And in our randomizers, the Old Rod will fish up a level 10 Pokemon. So if any of these slots provide a very good Pokemon, you have a level 10 option that you can use to get through to Goldenrod.
Yeah, he's still looking for something to start running. I think Stripe is pretty happy with his Snorlax for the moment. That Thunderbolt is going to be able to carry him marginally far, and assuming Strife finds some sort of breakout item before leaving Union Cave, I wouldn't be terribly shocked if Strife skips Azalea entirely, especially if it's the Pass.
That's a strategy that many runners will opt to do when they have both Pass. And actually, if they have both Pass and Fly, a lot of runners will skip Azalea and then come back to it later. But without Fly, more runners have shown a little bit more safety and do Azalea, hoping that there is perhaps a Storm Badge or a Fly. But it'll be interesting to see if they do find the Pass early on, what they will do.
Yeah, it's a gamble like so many other things in this game. If you skip Azalea, you're skipping 6 checks. I think last I checked, there was 250 some odd checks in the game. So you've got a 6 in 250 something that... actually a 12 because there's 2 items. A 12 in 250 something chance that one of your parts of Fly shows up in Azalea, and if it is, you're punished. And if it isn't, and you find Fly before needing to go back there, then you're not. It's just a coin toss.
And actually, I think in one of the previous races today, one of our runners opted to skip Azalea and unfortunately got punished because Storm Badge was in Azalea. So that's just one example of how doing a skip could potentially end up losing you more time than you gain for skipping with.
So, Stripe just caught a Venusaur that showed up randomly on the top floor. He wasn't terribly happy with its moveset. It had Sky Attack and Sludge. Not terrible for a Venusaur, not great. I think his Snorlax is still the better option.
So besides Thunderbolt, it also has Slam, which is a normal move, so Snorlax will benefit from the same type bonus. Although it is inaccurate, still, if it does hit, it will hit like a truck.
Absolutely. Plus, as long as they keep picking up TMs, it's something that they can just keep in the back of their mind of this might be a useful move to pick up. Oh, there's Strength, actually.
So yeah, there we go. That's going to provide a really good offensive option for the Snorlax.
Yep, absolutely, because I'm pretty sure Strength is base power 80, which Slam is also base power 80, but Strength is 100% accurate, so it's just straight better than Slam. The trade-off is that if he finds 4 TMs or level up moves that he really wants to keep, he won't be able to unless he makes it all the way over to Blackthorn City, which requires 7 badges and navigating the ice tunnel. So.
Ooh, looks like Strife is having a slightly annoying time with this Electrode, as it does have Cross Chop, which is effective against the Snorlax.
Ooh, yeah, that's actually going to be really painful for him. He might. I don't know if he's going to be. Okay, the Cross Chop miss. He's all right. Unless Slam misses.
But I think he should be good to go now, as Cross Chop only has 5 PP, so as long as you can stall out 5 Cross Chop hits, it will be out of Cross Chops. And ooh, there's a Zapdos, that's the level 10 for the Elder, which could be a really big problem here, as Zapdos is a very powerful special attacker.
Yeah, this is going to be not good for him, because the Zapdos is using Outrage, which is a very strong move, and he's a very powerful Pokemon. I don't think they've picked up any revives either, so if he faints here, he's either going to have to reset it back to his last save, or I think he's going to end up all the way back at Mom's house, because he reset the encounter in the house. Now, okay, he did stop in at the mart in Violet City. That's good. I was worried about that.
So, I think, yeah, so luckily for Stripe, he was able to die and then spawn in the Poké Center in Violet, because he did enter the Poké Center. And he will be keeping the experience that he gained on the Sprout Tower, so Stripe will have another chance at the Elder later. And also, welcome to SpeedGaming 4. Currently, you're watching a Pokemon Crystal Full Item Randomizer between Derts and Strifesada.
Yep. So it looks like Strife is now making his way over to the ruins of Alf. He's going to find the same items that Dirts found earlier, including the Old Rod. It'll be interesting to see if he also goes fishing. If he does, he's probably going to find another Psyduck, but there's 2 encounters there at least, so it could be something new.
For sure. So for some information, with the Old Rod, it's possible to fish up 2 different Pokemon. One has a 90% chance of showing up, and the other has a 10% chance of showing up. And since Dirt's only checked the Pokemon once there, we don't know which encounter it is, whether it's the common or the rare. So it'll be interesting to see whether Strife decides to use the Old Rod to switch out of the Snorlax, but looks like he might not yet, or he might be opting to check a different water slot, because depending on the location you surf in, you can get different encounters.
Dirts was such a heartbreak moment. So Dirts fought the Zapdos. He got it down to like 3%, and then it used Giga Drain, killed the Electabuzz, and healed up a little bit. And he went in with the Chansey, which was at least enough of a special tank to survive hits, but the Horn attack that it had was just so minimal that he's like, never mind. We're not doing this. And he reset, and he's given the fight another go.
And there we go. Strife finally notices that he does have the Strength HM, so he will be teaching it the Snorlax there.
Yep, I like that decision. It upgrades Slam. It's a better move. If he had it in his fight earlier, he might have been able to get through it a little bit easier, because he did miss that Slam.
For sure.
And now we have one of the fastest Pokemon in the game versus one of the slowest. And it doesn't matter if you can one-shot. So he took Giga Drain over Confuse Ray instead of Wing Attack. That's an interesting choice. I think he probably wants the physical coverage in Wing Attack, because Electabuzz's physical is only like 7 points lower than its special. I think it's like 85 and 78.
I'm not too sure, so I can't really confirm, but also something that is valuable in the Confuse Ray is a lot of the utility moves can help you get through some difficult fights. So, for example, if you have Confuse Ray, you can confuse the Zapdos, and that could reduce some of the risks of these tough fights that you see.
Yep. But he went with Giga Drain. And Giga Drain's interesting because Giga Drain is water coverage, which I always think is super valuable. A lot of water types in this game are very strong, very hard to kill, and there's only like 2 good thunder moves. The trade-off is that there's like no good grass moves. Giga Drain only has 5 PP and isn't very strong. Like the best grass move is like there's Solar Beam, which is a 2-turn move, not great. Razor Leaf is like base power 55, but it's high crit, so it's probably the best you're gonna get. Water coverage, very valuable. I think you're probably going to want to see if you can replace that with an electric move at some point, either Thunder Punch or Thunderbolt.
And on Strife's side, he finds that the pass on Faulkner. This is going to probably affect his decision here. If he's not too happy with the Snorlax, he will want to rush through Azalea, straight to Goldenrod into Kanto.
I'm calling it right now. He's going to completely skip Azalea. He's going to go straight to Kanto.
That's my prediction as well, knowing how much he hates Bugsy and the entire town of Azalea. So
he considers the entire town a trap, and also he's got the pass, and he's got a Master Ball.
Oh yeah, so he's going to want to get into the grass of either Cycling Road, or if he's lucky and finds both pieces of surf, he will be able to surf in Vermilion Harbor to fish for much higher level encounters.
Yep.
In Cycling Road, I believe the range of encounters you can find are somewhere between 28 or 29, all the way up to 34. And in Vermilion Harbor, depending on which of the 2 waters that you surf in the harbor or in the town, you can go to level 38.
Yeah, so it's 29 to 33, I think, on Cycling Road, which is basically what you said. And then the way the harbor works is actually unlike any other location in the game, as far as I'm aware. The way that it works is that there's 3 Pokemon encounter slots, and they are level 35 up to +4. So you can find the same Pokemon at 35, 36, 37, and 38. And the water, both in the city and in the ports where you use the ticket, give different encounters. So there's up to 6 Pokemon you can find there at various different levels. If he can find Surf in probably Ilex Forest, I would guess is probably where if he's going to find it at all, is where he would find it. If he can find Surf, that's definitely where he's going to go first. Otherwise, he's got Cycling Road and the route just south of Cycling. Optional.
Yeah, unfortunate for Stripe. He will be spending a little bit of time. Luckily, this trainer here only has 1 Pokemon, so he won't be stuck on it for too long.
Yeah, and
unless
oh no,
it has Crossjaw.
Oh no! Okay, the Venusaur is Poison type. And it doesn't matter because it's got extreme speed and a crit. Oh no, Strife. Okay, so if he faints here, which he will, he's just gonna go right outside the cave because he had to go into the mart to find the center to find a try to find another item. So he's not too far back.
Yeah, just a little bit unfortunate because he will lose out on some money for losing to the trainer. But otherwise, yeah, not too big of a setback here.
No, and honest...
Oh no!
Oh no! Yeah, so there's a way you can avoid this trainer every time, which it looks like Strife tried to do, where if you go down and touch the water, you can then go up and go immediately left and just go straight around him, and you're guaranteed to never hit him. The movement's a little bit tricky, though, if you're not used to it, and it looks like he made a left turn but didn't move left, and then moved up again and hit the trainer. He beat it this time, though, so vindication, I guess?
Got his revenge.
Got his money back, too.
Oh, this is actually really interesting. Strife finds all the way up to Super Rod here, so...
That is an incredibly early Super Rod. I don't know what the, Oh, and Dirts just ran into the same trainer. Oh, dear. I don't know what the levels of Super Rod Pokemon are, but we're about to find out. Because
it is 40.
Oh, dear. It is 40?
So, yeah, anything Strife finds will be higher levels than what he will find in Kanto.
He has a rare candy.
And yeah, both runners have access to a rare candy, so if Strife catches a Ghastly, he'll be able to evolve it to a Haunter at least, until he can find the next rare candy, or evolves it through leveling.
Yep, and we've changed the way
that...
Oh dear, Thunderbolt. Okay, yeah, no, he doesn't even have to rush to Kanto anymore. That's the best Pokemon he could run.
although it is Strife we're talking about, so he may still skip Azalea, but he'll be very comfortable running this now Haunter with Thunderbolt.
Absolutely. And we've changed the way that impossible or super difficult evolve work, so that things like trade.
Wait, did Strife cancel that evolution?
What?
It looks like Strife might have canceled that evolution. That might be a mistake from Strife. He might have not intended to cancel that evolution. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not going to hurt him too much if he did accidentally cancel the evolution. Ghastly has like base 35 and everything except special attack, which is 100. So the Haunter is the only advantage Haunter will have over that is it gets like 15 points in special attack, and its speed shoots up dramatically. But he'll get the evolutions through level up as well. It's just going to be a little bit slower.
Yeah, but on Dirt's side, meanwhile, he found an Alakazam in the same spot.
He found an Alakazam with Ice Beam.
And
what is this
Confusion.
ROM? Yeah, no, he gets Confusion as well. What is this ROM?
This is a pretty wild start for both runners here. I don't think I've seen Super Rod this early on in most of the runs I've run, so this is definitely a very unusual thing to see, and it's going to be very exciting to see how the race breaks open from here.
Absolutely. Like, at this point, what would they even want to change to? The Gengar is going to be incredible once he gets there, and he will get there. The Alakazam is also really strong. It's physically frail, but it's fast, and it hits even harder, at least I think it hits harder than the Gengar. And it has Ice Beam, which is the other ridiculously good special attacking move. They're going to pick up Surf at some point, and they're going to be golden. The only thing is, I like the Thunderbolt better than the Ice Beam because, again, it's that water coverage.
But on the other hand, Ice Beam does give you valuable coverage against Dragon types, which of course resist Fire, Water, and Electric, and Grass, which is very annoying if you don't have a neutral move against Dragon types.
Absolutely. Although they do have the Confusion, which is not a particularly strong move, but Dirts is going to get stab off of it.
And his level 40 against all of these very low-level Pokemon, it's not going to matter at all.
Oh no, absolutely not. At this point, the ROM has turned into mash A until you run out of PP the game. And it's going to stay that way until at least they get into Kanto.
Oh yeah, for sure. Until those higher level battles, they don't have anything to worry about.
Absolutely not. I love this seed. It's hilarious. I'm so glad I'm not running this right now because I'd still be running. I wouldn't have known that Super Rod gives level 40s. I'd still be running whatever it is that I had. So I feel like I've dodged a little bit of a bullet myself.
Yeah, you learn something new every day. There are a lot of different things in the game that you can learn about to make your runs go a little bit more smoothly. There are a lot of little trivia like the Pokemon stats and how these items work. Yeah, there's a lot to learn in this game mode, which makes this randomizer really exciting because it really does test your knowledge in a variety of things and everything in Pokemon Crystal.
Yeah. So let's think about it a little bit. When it comes to their mains, because we've got nothing else to compare for a little while, they're just in the middle of rushing their way into the next couple of encounters. When it comes to their mains, the Alakazam is base 135 special, base 120 speed. The Gengar, when it gets there, will be 130 special, 110 speed. But the Gengar has Thunderbolt, and the Alakazam has Ice Beam. They're very, very close to each other. They're both very good. Oh, and the Alakazam also has, like, no physical defenses. It dies if you sneeze on it. So, which one do you like better? If you could choose between the two, which one would you want more?
That's a very tough choice. I think it would mostly depend on the moveset, because both of them are equally frail to physical types, but I guess Gengar is a little bit nicer because, of course, they have the immunity to both normal and fighting types. So that's a few less physical moves to worry about.
Yeah, I think the Alakazam... So, if I remember correctly, the Alakazam is like base 40 defense, and the Gengar is base 60. So it's a little bit better physically, not much. But I think the typing, you're right, is better on the Ghastly because of Ghost type. But the Alakazam has the better stats and Stab Psychic. Like, there's so many trade-offs on these two, I don't know which one I would even begin to think is better.
And luckily at this point in the game, where everything is much lower level than you, we're not going to be seeing a big difference in the two.
No, not at all. This is just idle speculation while they fight their way through the bug jump. That said, there's only 2 checks left that you would have skipped if you skipped Azalea. Strife might be going, I knew I should have skipped Azalea. Because I don't think I've seen anything just yet that either of them actually want.
Yeah, people probably didn't imagine Strife could be convinced to do Azalea at all.
Well, now we know what it takes to convince Strife to do Azalea. It's Super Rod before you leave Union Cave.
And yeah, here we see the Chansey on the rival that I mentioned before by picking the Diglett. The rival will always choose the Pokemon that's one to the right of whichever one you pick on the desk and the lab.
Yeah, and remember what I said about being a special tank? The level, 16 Chansey survived a Thunderbolt from the level 41 Ghastly.
And Strife canceled out evolution a second time here.
Okay, that's definitely intentional. I'm curious as to what he's doing there.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, it's definitely intentional. We're gonna have to ask what he's doing if we can't figure it out by the end of the race. Because I'm very curious. Oh, is there a Ghastly trade? I think there actually might be. We don't randomize the traded Pokemon, just the received. You might have to be waiting to check the Ghastly trade.
I'm not sure if there is a Ghastly trade. I'm aware there is a Duck Trio trade, but also, I guess one viewer brings up a good point. Actually, I'm not sure if it matters here because the Ghastly is level 42 now, but there may be level of moves that he might be looking for. But I'm not too well versed in when Pokemon learn all their moves, so
I'm checking it now because I also don't have it memorized. So in Gen 2, level up Ghastly moveset. No, he's learned all of his moves by now. His last move was at level 36.
Snowbird in the chat does bring up a point that there is a Haunter trade. Maybe Stripe is misremembering it and he's thinking it's a Ghastly trade. But, or, yeah, I'm not really sure anymore. Snowbird isn't sure either. Okay, so maybe the Haunter trade is in a different generation of Pokemon.
There's a Haunter trade in Pewter City. No, wait, yeah, there's a Haunter trade in Pewter City, but Pewter City could be hours away. That's a long time to hold on to a Ghastly.
Because even though they have the pass, in order to go into that western part of Kanto, they will need all 3 parts of the Pokegear in order to wake up the Snorlax that is standing in the way to Diglett's Cave. And also, they're going to need Cut, so they can cut the tree that is leading up to Pewter City. So there's a lot of parts that they're still missing in order to access that trade, even if there is in Pewter.
And if they don't find Cut, they can also get there with Surf and Waterfall as well, but Cut is probably the more common access. Meanwhile, how did Dirts get in front of Strife? I totally missed that, but Durf has already made it to Goldenrod.
Yeah, I quite missed that too. Maybe something along the lines of maybe... I'm not sure if Strife escape roped out of Ilex Forest. Maybe that's a difference that I missed. Or Zap Cannon from the rival. That would do it too, if that happened. Yeah, it's a little bit difficult for me to keep track of everything since I'm also keeping track of what the items that they're picking up, so...
Yeah, they've basically caught up with each other at this point, though. So at this point, I suspect that they're going to head up, they're going to check the TMs, buy a water stone, do your standard shopping, maybe pick up your X items at this point if you've got the money for it. Yep, Dirts is heading straight to the 5th floor, and we're going to check the TMs. Let's see what we've got. This has a chance to be nothing, or a chance to be really good. The fun thing to be aware of is that there's a couple of descriptions to look out for. May cause paralysis, can be Thunderbolt, can be Body Slam, it can be a couple of good things. May lower special defense, can be Crunch, Shadow Ball, or Psychic. So we've got Spite, Sand Attack, and one move that I didn't has a couple different things it could be. None of those are worth grabbing, though, so I'm not surprised that he just moved on and is grabbing his Water Stone for later at the Room of the Mouth.
So both runners will finish up their shopping here. Looks like Dirt's is going to pick up a few other items here, like the Rebel, some revives in case something goes wrong, the full heal. But
Yep.
Strife looks like he is happy with his items, and he will continue on after picking up the Water Stone.
Yep, and now Strife is doing a save check for the bike shop, which is something I only recently learned about. If the bike shop's nothing, you can reset back to that point, which saves a little bit of running, and also saves a phone call later on in the game. Yeah, he's probably going to reset that nugget, and he does. Ethan26 in chat brings up a good point. If Strife continues to cancel the evolution on his Ghastly, he's going to lose a bunch of time, because every time he levels up, he's going to have that evolution pop up, and then he's going to cancel it, and it's just going to waste a bunch of time. If he hadn't canceled them already, he could be sitting on Gengar at this point. So it's interesting that he's chosen to cancel the Ghastly, because he's definitely doing it on purpose at this point. Oh no, Strife got a quest wrong on the quiz. It's so easy to do, because you're mashing through and you're just ready to get to the end.
And on Dirt's screen, I think the reward for this quiz was the clear bell. There we go. So they're going to be on the lookout for that Rainbow Wing, which will allow them to gain full access to the Tin Tower items, which is a treasure trove of items in terms of number of items you can pick up there. And looks like both runners here will try to tackle on Whitney. Whitney will give you 2 different items for defeating her, so I think it looks like both runners are looking to clear out Goldenrod before they head over to Kanto, which I think makes sense here because they are sitting on a level 40 main, so they're not, and they're pretty happy with their mains, it seems like, so they don't have to hop over to Kanto early to find a new Pokemon to run as their main at this point. So yeah, both runners here will make their way to Whitney. Dirt's is slightly ahead of Strife, but they're pretty much neck and neck right now. And
So-
neither... Oh, go ahead.
So I've been talking a bunch, and I kept getting cut off from you, and then I realized I was pressing the wrong key on my push to talk. I've been saying a bunch of random relevant things at the point of this conversation, and nobody's heard any of it. Whoops.
Oh yeah, I was wondering what happened, but yeah.
Yeah, wrong key on my keyboard. So what I was saying to myself, apparently, was there's a couple of different things going on. First off, I wouldn't be surprised if they went and did the bug catching contest area as well, because there's 4 items that direction, and if one of them is your Hive badge, you don't want to have to come back here later. But also, the other thing worth mentioning is that Clear Bell is a big deal. Well, it could be a big deal, because in addition to needing both the Rainbow Wing and the Clear Bell to get up into Tin Tower, where there is 11 items in the tower and 4 in the Ho-Oh Chamber afterwards, you also need to get past the guy who blocks the way, and you can do that either by beating the Rocket Tower event or Morty. And if there are enough badges locked behind Rocket Tower and the Tin Tower is required, that means Morty's required. And we've already mentioned Strife and his absolute hatred of doing Morty.
Yeah. So we will see...
There's still a bunch of things that have to fall in the right way for that to happen, but it's just something to kind of keep in mind.
We will be eager to see whether Stripe sticks to his own personal morals or if he will bend like he did in Azalea to Buxy. So it looks like both runners will continue checking all the items in Goldenrod, which I think is a good idea here since they don't have to hop over to Kanto before they have some of the key items. For example, Surf, both parts of Surf, and Fly, which will allow them to traverse to more different places more easily, with Surf unlocking many different items.
I'm still waiting for that legendary seed, which definitely can exist and probably will never be seen, in which Surf is not required and is in fact locked inside of Mount Silver. It is theoretically possible. Oh, there's the plane badge. So that actually opens up a check in Goldenrod, which means that they can pretty much wrap Goldenrod up already. Kind of nice. But it is theoretically possible for Surf to not be required if no badges are locked behind Surf and you have Cut as your access after going through Diglett's Cave. You can do the entire seed without Surf. It's just that Surf itself locks so many check locations that it's so unlikely to ever be rolled up. And one day it's going to happen, and I'm going to be so happy.
And the day it happens, we will have the fastest clear time for one of these randomizers. And ooh, Dirts finds the SS ticket.
That's
really, yeah, that's really interesting because what that allows Dirts to access is North Johto, because you can take the pass to Kanto and then take the boat from the Vermilion side into Olivine. And North Johto has a lot of different item checks, including Ekritik, where Tentaur is located. So
it has a bunch of different checks, but it might give them a clue as to something else a little bit more important to them at the moment. So the way that we have the logic set up for this randomizer tournament is that we have forced something called early fly. And in order to force that, basically we've made it so that fly will never appear behind 5 different locations. You will never have to climb Tojo Falls. You will never have to wake the Snorlax. You'll never have to enter Misty's gym. You'll never have to enter Route 44, which is to the right of Mahogany Town. And the last one is you'll never have to take the boat. And taking the boat is an interesting restriction because it has the potential to lock one single check, or it has the potential to lock half the game, depending on how your items work out. And having Pass and the SS ticket without having the Squirt Bottle means that, at least for the moment, Storm Badge and HMO2 cannot be found in Northern Johto, and they know this. So they're going to spend a lot of time, especially with their level 40 mains, in Kanto looking for those 2 HMs and badge combinations until they find it, or they find the Squirt Bottle, which will open up Northern Johto to having Fly. Because right now, the thing the runners want more than badges is they want Fly.
Or Surf, because Surf will unlock a lot of different checks. And in combination of the strength access they have, they can access a few other locations with a combination of both. So there are a lot of things that the both runners are looking for in order to make progress beyond Kanto here.
Yeah, and this has been a fairly interesting seed in that it's been fairly linear. The 2 runners have basically done the same thing, and they've just been passing the lead back and forth to each other this whole time. Dirt's just found the radio card on the Psychic guy. The radio card by itself is useless, but with the radio card, the Pokegear, and the expansion card, that opens up both a level 50 and access to Western Kanto once they have either Cut or Surf and Waterfall.
So once they find those 2 pieces, yeah, they will have access to West Kanto and also the level 50 Snorlax static that is in Vermilion, so
yeah, it would have to be something real good for them to want to swap off their mains, I think, or have to come real fast, because 10 levels is still not nothing to sneeze at, but it would be interesting to see what it's going to be. Also, it looks like Dirts, I think, went all the way down to the fishing guy, the Super Rod check, south of Lavender, and then reset back. Not a bad move. I like it a lot, because it's a very easy, very quick check to do, especially if you're going to reset and jump past the encounters. One thing kind of worth considering is he could have sequence broke and gotten into Rock Tunnel, where there's 5 checks. Again, they're out of logic until you have both Flash and the Zephyr badge, but I personally think it's a really good thing to do. Also, here's some more TM checks. Oh, there's a special defense drop TM. That could be huge. That could be Psychic. And if that's Psychic, that Alakazam is going... Nope, it is Shadow Ball. Never mind.
There's an Earthquake TM available as well. Not in the Mart, but...
Nope, but he did find a Spark TM as well, and so there's his water coverage, which is good. He hasn't evolved Ghastly yet because he hasn't had an opportunity to yet. It hasn't leveled up since the last time he canceled it.
And actually finding the Spark TM for Dirts is pretty huge because remember, Alakazam has Ice Beam, and having Electric and an Ice move will guarantee that you will at least hit neutral against every Pokemon in the game.
Yep, we call it perfect coverage. And it's Ghost Fighting, it's Ice Thunder, Ice Electric, there's a couple of others. But Ice Electric is kind of like the gold standard of special moves, because Ice Beam Thunderbolt specifically is 2 very strong special moves with good PP and perfect accuracy, and perfect coverage. Spark is a good stand-in for Thunderbolt, so I'd be pretty happy with it if I was him.
I think Ice hits neutrally against Magneton, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong though, but even if Ice is ineffective against Magneton, that's only 1 out of 250 something Pokemon, so...
Yeah, he's right. Steel resists Ice. I think all gens actually. So Magneton doesn't get hit by that, but it's Magneton and Magnemite, and that's like it. So it's almost perfect coverage.
Okay, but luckily there's Surf available as an option against them, which I think does hit neutrally, so...
It does. Because Steel doesn't resist water, and neither does Electric for some reason. The resistance type chart is so difficult to remember. The super effective one is easy. It's the one where what resists what is like, I can't. I can't. I'm not good with it. There's a Sacred Fire team.
Oh yeah, that's also very important too. Although, I guess Fire doesn't really give additional coverage if you already have an Ice move, but in Strife's case, he doesn't have the Ice Beam, so while there is an overlap between Ice and Fire moves and what they're effective against, but for Strife he doesn't have an Ice move yet, so I think it'll provide him with more coverage.
Got rid of Amnesia, which would have been an amazing move to teach in Gen 1. Gen 2, it raises special defense, and it's a little bit kind of sad.
Yeah, there aren't really any good moves that will raise your special attack in this generation.
There's Growth.
There's Growth, but that's about it.
Yep. So Dirts has made his way all the way down to Janine, going through Cycling Road, blitzing through that one quick trainer, and now he's just going to roll over Janine, because Janine, having just inherited the gym from her father, has the weakest Pokemon of all the Kanto leaders. They're like level 36 to level 4. So this should be a pretty quick fight for him, and then Janine gives, I think, 2 items. Some of them give 2, some of them give 1, and I always get confused with which.
In this generation, Janine and Erica will give you 2 items, 1 badge and 1 TM normally.
Yeah. So this is a good check. They're kind of running out of places to check up here, which is interesting because, again, we're guaranteed to have found Fly before having to take the boat. So either both parts of Fly have not shown up, or something that locks a whole bunch of checks hasn't shown up, or the Squirt Bottle hasn't shown up. And one thing that might be getting into the back of the runners' heads at this point is, in addition to a bunch of fights up north of Cerulean City, the Nugget Hedge Maze, as some people refer to it, there's also the... Oh wow, this is an interesting decision. I kind of like it, but I hope Dirts is aware that this check is currently out of logic. We don't force Sabrina until you have at least 7 badges. So this check is out of logic, and if it's something really good, that says a lot. But if it's not anything, then it's just a quick check to get out of the way. I like it, but something that might be starting to tick into the runners' minds just a little bit is that Rising Badge. We skipped over it. They found it in Union Cave down in the basement. The Rising Badge lets you use Waterfall out of battle, obviously, and it's a badge, so it's required. But it also opens up the Master Ball check from Professor Elm, and that might be something that the runners might be thinking about, just because they're running out of in-logic checks for Fly specifically. There's a ton of in-logic checks up in Northern Johto, but until they have Fly, they don't want to leave Kanto.
Definitely, and at least based on the checks that both runners have done so far, which yielded nothing, I think a backtrack into New Bark is looking more and more likely here, because there is also the delivery quest for the Kenya with the mail, which will provide you an item for giving the Kenya to the man, and also after that, talking to the man in the guardhouse. So that's 2 items from that fetch quest there as well. So
Yeah, did you see what Sabrina gave?
Sabrina did not give anything important.
Yep, and Strife still hasn't evolved as Ghastly, which is interesting because he's gonna be losing time every single time that he has to cancel the evolution. Oh wait, hold up. Let's see if he does it now. It looks like he is. Nope, never mind. He's gonna be losing a little bit of time every time he cancels that evolution. I'm so curious as to what he's thinking when he does that. He definitely is doing it on purpose, and he's gotta have a plan. To me personally, I don't know what it could be.
Yeah, at least right now, my really only guess is that he is mistaken the Hunter maybe mistaken that there is a trait for Ghastly somewhere, and he wants to keep that option available. Or maybe he's just having a little bit of fun, but we'll definitely ask him that question when the race is over.
Yeah, especially because he rare candied it immediately.
Yeah, that's the little head scratcher there. He was not planning to evolve it, but yeah, we'll get that answered in our interview post-match.
I continue to be amazed that the runners are literally following each other. The one exception is Dirt stopped and did Sabrina. That's it. Like, they both went to They did the entire same path through Lower Johto. They both moved to Kanto. I think they both did the check south of Lavender. They then both went down to Janine, and now they are both headed up to Nugget Hedgemaze.
And actually, I like this play from both of the runners. And Strife unfortunately saved farther away from Nugget Hedgemaze. He'll have to bike all the way back. But I like this play for both of the runners because there are not a lot of checks left, and I think right now in Kanto, this is really their only remaining check that could provide an important item. So I think they want to get this check out of the way just in case it is something important. And Strife hits an optional trainer here, but anyways, back to the point. Because there aren't that many item checks remaining, any one item check can give you something important, so...
Yes, absolutely. And again, I think what they're mostly looking for right now is Fly. And so the biggest heartbreak that they could possibly find is the Squirt Bottle on one of these just random associated checks, because it opens up Northern Kanto to having their Fly, and all of this has been like sort of a red herring leading them down a garden path. Strife has decided, instead of heading straight back up to Nugget Hedgemaze, he's also going to stop and do Sabrina. And he took sort of a funny route through the teleporters and ended up crashing face first into another optional. It looks like he's going to make it to Sabrina. Yep, he did. It amazes me that everyone's doing the same thing. I think Strife canceled the reset. I think Strife did the reset specifically because he ran into a Typhlosion with a really good move against his Ghastly right up against the front of Hedgemaze.
And looks like the Ghastly is struggling a bit here, as the Rattata does have Lick, which is super effective against the Ghastly.
Yep. It's a ghost move. It's a bad ghost move, but it's a ghost move.
And Ghastly is not the strongest defensive Pokemon, so anything that will hit the Ghastly will hurt.
Yeah, the Ghastly's base defense is like 35 in both special and normal defense, I think. It's low.
Yeah, and also Lick having a slight chance to paralyze the Ghastly is also a very annoying factor in that move. And yeah, Strife is paralyzed right now, so... yeah, he's struggling a little bit here.
He's also out of Thunderbolts. Oh dear.
And the Dragonite is... yeah, that is definitely going to give him some trouble here.
He's got a max revive or two, so he's okay, at least for the moment. But that Dragonite's gonna be rough. Dirts was able to get through it pretty easily, specifically because he had Ice Beam. The Ghastly's best move against it, I think, is gonna be Thunderbolt, which is gonna be a neutral hit. And he's out of Thunderbolts.
And the Dragonite also has Slick, so... yeah, Strife just not very lucky here, and he will decide to reset the fight because it is costing him a lot of time here. And
it cost him a lot of time for, like, not a whole lot of reward. Dirts is saving before this guy because he will give you the item before. So he got the item. It was a poison cure berry, and he's done up here. Misty doesn't show up until you get the item from her gym, which requires going to the power plant, and you need Cut to get the item behind the bush. So,
yeah, so I think this means that backtrack all the way to New Bark is likely the play now.
Yeah, no, they're very quickly running out of options. And so here's the question for you. If backtracking to New Bark is the play, and you think that like what you need to find for your fly logic is next in New Bark, do you just get on the boat anyways? Because there's only like 3 items that they still haven't gotten in South Kanto. Like they're missing the Kenya delivery, the Kenya return, and the Rising Batch check. It's possible that that's something that's both parts of your fly, or it even could be like both parts of your surf, which opens up a bunch more checks down there. But don't you think it's more likely that that item is just the squirt bottle, and your checks are in and your flies in Northern Dodo at this point?
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's something that, yeah, it's very hard to decide, but I think personally I would, probably do what Dirts is doing, which is to take the train back and try to check those items, because those few items are guaranteed to give you valuable progress, whether it is Surf to unlock additional check, or I guess it could even be Cut, because Cut will give you additional access in Violet City and also in Kanto.
Yeah, that's fair. So a couple of questions in chat. First off, he would be struggling a lot less if he evolved the Ghastly into a Gengar. First, it's got better defensive, not by much, but it's like twice as good because again, it's like base 35 versus base like 60. So it's definitely better defensively. It's not great defensively, but it's better defensively. It's also faster is kind of the big thing. He'd be outspeeding a lot more of these fights and could probably do them. As to Giddy's points, Fly isn't there in logic yet because of the boat. But if they find the squirt bottle in South Johto, like around here somewhere, then that would open up Fly logic to be up there, and that's what I was saying. Like, do you sort of hedge your bets and say maybe the squirt bottle is the item that you're going to find doing this return? Because if it is, the only thing that really skips you is the boat, and you could probably do the boat faster than you can do this return. It's
sure.
And I think it's a little bit more likely to be this because there's 3 checks basically that they have to do, and it's 1 item to get the squirt bottle, or it's 2 items to get Cut, Surf. It's probably not going to be Fly because, well, it could be actually, yeah. Cut, Surf, Fly. I mean, Waterfall wouldn't open anything up because you don't have Surf. So the question is, like, what could these 3 be? I suppose they could all be badges, and then you open up False Director check. That would be awful. Hey, he finally evolved the Ghastly.
So there we go. Dirts finds HMO3, so it looks like Surf is his way out of this lack of checks that are remaining.
Boy, is my face red. I went through all of that saying it's probably not going to be Surf, and then at least half of Surf has shown up. The badge hasn't yet, so I still could be right. It still could be the squirt bottle.
It very well could be. So we'll have to wait and see what the progress is, whether it's squirt bottle or whether it is Surf.
Yeah, Dirts is making his return all the way back. And remember what we said about having to return to New Bark Town ahead of time? Yeah, Dirts is going to end up crashing face first into Rival 1, which is going to be a very easy fight, but it's still going to be some time.
And for Strife on his return, since he did save reset the encounter with Mythic Pokemon, he will not have to face Rival 1 here.
Yep. But the Surf is also really good because he stuck that Surf on his Alakazam, and it's just going to hit real hard.
Oh yeah, it will hurt very hard.
So, Sean, the way that he didn't battle Rival 1 is that the way that the randomizer is set up, you don't have to return to you don't have to return to the professor after talking to Mr. Pokemon. You can just go straight to Violet City. So he never returned, and therefore never battled Rival 1. That's how he did. Dirts. Dirts is doing that thing that... Hey, who called it? Dirts is doing that thing that we all did as kids, where you were asked, what was the name of the rival? And the rival said his name was 3 question marks. So you name the rival 3 question marks, and that's just his name for the rest of the game. I like that little callback. That's funny. But Dirts did find the squirt bottle on the check for the Rising badge, which I told you there's a pretty good chance it could have been down there, and it was.
Oh yeah, wow. Both Surf and Squirt Bottle locked behind backtracking. That's a very rare occurrence.
It's a very cursed occurrence as well. This seed has been nuts, but that was mean.
A lot of very unusual things happening in this ROM right now, and that's always exciting to see.
Yeah, Dimmick says it right. It's Blurst Seed.
For sure.
So, Dirts is going to go ahead and he's going to open up the Pseudo Widow. He's going to get the TM08 check, which will put TM08 in the Mart. And then he's probably going to head back down to Goldenrod. At least I would, because he can turn into Kenya Encounter, he can get his Rock Smash, and then he can go north into Northern Johto. Funnily enough, the TM08 guy gives you a different field move. Instead, he gave you TM02, which is Headbutt. Not something that is super necessary because it's already been in the Mart and they didn't want it then, but just kind of funny.
So it looks like Dirt's saved in the crossroads between Goldenrod and Ekritik. So it looks like he's going to check this prize here for turning into Kenya. And then unfortunately there's nothing here. And because he did talk to the man after defeating the Pseudo-Wudo, he is going to be able to buy the Rock Smash TM, which will give him access to a few more locations. It looks like he's going for that now.
There's very few places that Rock Smash will lock. It locks the Violet City side of Dark Cave. There's 3 checks down there that you need Rock Smash for. There's a check on the first floor of the Burn Tower in Ekritik, and there's like a shortcut in Ice Cave, and like that's it. So it's very rare that TM08 is actually required, but it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
For sure. And Strife discovers the inconvenient truth of Nugget Hedge Base not being required, so...
Yeah, at this point, Strife is probably thinking to himself, I've wasted a ton of time on a bunch of unrequired stuff. I might be in trouble now.
But luckily for Strife, still that's a lot of experience that did go in the way of the Haunter, so it will still come in handy in those later fights, but... Yeah, definitely feeling a little bit bad because all the time did not really lead up to an item that she's looking for.
No, and it looks like he's making a return. Oh, no, never mind. I was going to say he's making a return to Sabrina, but no, he's not. He's heading to the Mart. Did you know that I didn't know this Mart was here for like the first 4 or 5 months I ran these things? I just didn't ever notice that there was a Mart here. I thought that the Silph was like the replacement Mart, and there just was no Mart like there isn't in Mahogany or Sandwood.
Yeah, it's really easy to not notice that there is a Mart because unless you go all the way in that path, you're not going to see the Mart passing through.
Yep, boy is my face red. Okay, he is making a return to Sabrina, so hopefully he can blitz through Sabrina pretty quickly and move on to the next sort of set of checks that he's going to want to do. If he makes that decision that I was outlining earlier, in that it's probably more likely that the squirt bottle is on the return trip, he might just elect to take the boat, which he'd miss Surf. But if he finds Fly up there, he can do the Kenya check real fast, and it would actually make up some time.
So actually, yeah, that's a great point, because I think at this point it's very likely and maybe only possible for Fly to be in the north part of Johto. So for Strife, if he does find both pieces of Fly up here, then he won't be losing too much time trying to turn into Kenya, for example, to gain access to the Surf HM.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's just a little bit of time he can make up, but he's solidly behind at this point, which I feel like is pretty obvious given that we've been following each other up. At this point, the seed's going to open up a little bit. There's the choice to go to Olivine or the choice to go to Ekritik. Without Surf, I'm not Ekritik, Mahogany. Without Surf, the Mahogany into Lake of Rage play is a little bit less good. So I suspect we're probably just going to continue to see climbing the lighthouse. This has been a very linear seed so far.
And to answer your question in chat's size, so actually Squirt Bottle was available, and that will remove that restriction of the boat restricting the fly placements, because Squirt Bottle will unlock North Johto, and that without requiring you to take the boat.
Yeah, the boat itself cannot have either part of fly on it, but the fly is in North Johto. We've basically exhausted all the other checks everywhere else. So it's either in North Johto or it's locked behind something in North Johto, and it was the Squirt Bottle that opened that up for the lot. They've had the SS ticket since they went to the bug catching contest, but both of them have been looking for fly, so they've been hanging around Kanto for this whole time. Well, if you backtrack to Elm and turn in the Rising Badge, you find the Squirt Bottle and realize, oh shoot, it's been in North Johto. It's been in North Johto this whole time. So Strife is making the same play that Derts did. He's returning. He's going to go through the Kenya check. He's hopefully going to return all the way to Newbark and find his Squirt Bottle and realize, oh shoot, I've been looking in the wrong place. It's like the Nazis from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like, they're looking in the wrong place. Yeah, they have been. It's just unfortunate, but he'll find out soon enough, and then he'll make the play into northern Johto, and will be just a little bit behind Derts. Meanwhile, Derts actually found Waterfall in the lighthouse. So this is not immediately useful, but it's good to have, and I'll tell you why. When you have Waterfall without Surf, there's basically nothing you can do with it. But once you find Surf, and as we've already mentioned, Surf is required in like 99.99999 set of seeds, so you're going to find Surf. Once you find Surf, that opens up the entirety of Mount Mortar. And Mount Mortar has 20 checks in it. It is the most checked-in location in this game. But over half of them are locked behind Waterfall. So, having Waterfall ready to go for when you find Surf, pretty good.
Oh no, Strife messed up his movement a little bit there, so he will be fighting an extra trainer here.
Strife has hit 3 optionals on this route. I think nerves are starting to get to him. Just a little bit, because he's having a little bit of some struggles in terms of making his way back to where he wants to be right now.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely this being a tournament match, yeah, I can definitely see that, and I've actually felt that during my matches as well, because it being a tournament match is very easy to mess up your movement a little bit, and in some of these locations, one missed movement can mean you have to fight an extra trainer.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, optional trainers are super easy to crash into. Like, don't get me wrong.
So while Strife is completing his backtracking to Newbark, Derts is going to enter the Burn Tower here, and he's going to take a look at the Rock Smash item check here, and because he also has Strength, he will be able to check the item lock behind a boulder in the bottom floor as well as the 4 roaming Pokemon, which is randomized.
Yep, and we're going to play Do We Recognize Those Pokemon Cries? Because in addition to being randomized, they actually do give their proper cries. I don't know about you, Lungi. I can recognize, like, 1 cry, and I only get it right half the time, because it's Mewtwo, and Mewtwo sounds exactly like Parasect, and
oh yeah,
kinda like Mew.
Yeah, I'll see if I can recognize some, but yeah, everyone in the chat, if you're good with recognizing Pokemon cries, do put in your guesses there.
Yep. So, Sean, TMs are not reusable, but they are randomized. We have forced at least a quarter of them to be quote-unquote good moves, but as long as it's not a field move TM, so TM12, which is Sweet Scent, TM08, Rock Smash, TM02, Headbutt, it's going to have a random move. And all Pokemon can learn every TM and H move.
So while Dirts is going through this rival fight here, Stripe will discover that, yes, there will be a Surf HM here. And he's going to teach it immediately to the Gengar, which does have great special, so he will want that.
Yeah, that's a good call. He should teach it over Disable. He taught it over Confusion. Okay, pretty good enough. Oh no!
Oh no.
I was worried about this. I was just about to say I hope Strife goes all the way down into New Barktown. Just because he's gotta find that squirt bottle to know that he should be going into northern Johto.
And actually on Dirt's side here, we're going to be taking a look at the legendary Pokemon here, so when he gets there, let's give it a little bit moment of silence.
Yep, here we go. Let's see if anybody recognizes any. Sorry about that. I was looking at the wrong screen and didn't realize how close they were.
I believe one of them might be either a Growlithe or a Machop. Or maybe Machoke.
Yeah, I got none of them.
And then the other two I'm not too sure on. Looks like we have our guesses. It could be Mantine or a Murkrow, maybe?
Yeah, put your guesses in chat. If they don't show up during the race, we'll let you know at the end. I'll check the log.
One does sound like a Mantine to me as well. So yeah, we'll check the logs later if we don't have all the answers here.
Yep. Meanwhile, Dirts is breaking Strife's one rule: first person to do Morty loses. Let's see how prophetic that turns out to be.
Oh yeah, I wonder if Strife will decide to take down Morty early. Oh, and you're right, Strife did not defeat the Elder at the top of the tower here, so he will do that first, and let's see if he goes back to New Bark, or if he goes to turn into Kenya. Okay, he's going to go back to New Bark first.
Yeah, that's good. That's important. The Squirt Bottle is actually not an item that he needs unless Rock Smash in Dark Cave is something really good, but he needs the information of knowing it's in Logic to know that the fly that he is so desperately searching for is in another castle. He is saving a little bit of time by not having to do Rival 1, though, so like we mentioned, he's got that going for him at least.
Oh no, he stepped over the ledge here, so he will have to repel through the rest of the patch here. But he's fine. He will get to the lab and he will discover the Squirt Bottle here.
Yep, just pop that repel, make it through. He's probably real annoyed right now. He had to go back and check it, though. He couldn't, because he found Surf, he couldn't just make the assumption that it was definitely the Squirt Bottle. He had to go check it, because if it was the Fog Badge, then it still had, like, 17,000 checks in southern Johto where it could have been his fly pieces. So he had to go back and check it. And it's a good thing he did. But it doesn't help him in too many ways. All it does is give him a shortcut to go back to Goldenrod without having to go through Kanto.
And because of the Super Rod we got very early, Dirts is having no problems at all going through Morty here.
I'm still amazed by that Super Rod in Union Cave thing. That's ridiculous.
What kind of randomizer?
What kind of randomizer, indeed? So, things just got even worse for Strife. I really hope Strife breaks his rule, because Strife is solidly of the opinion first person to do Morty loses. Well, first person to do Morty finds Surf. So this is going to be interesting. The good news is that there's actually not many checks that you can do at this point in the game without Surf. So it's not like he's going to be 2 hours away from finding Surf. He's going to do Olivine, which is what Derts did, so he's not going to lose any time there. He's probably going to head up to Lake of Rage and do the one check there. But once he does that, there's not enough badges to do Rocket Tower. There's not enough badges to go east of Mahogany. He's basically going to have the one check on the route up to Lake of Rage, and then he's going to go, I have to go do Morty and Kimono Girls. So it's not the worst it could have been. This is not the end of the world for Strife.
For sure, unless there are other items that will lead him to a different progression. For example, if he finds, although it's unlikely, he could find, for example, both pieces of cut, which will lead him further away from Morty, or the secret potion.
Looks like he is checking the route over here first. I probably think that's solid. There's only 3 checks that you can get at this point. There's 2 inside Mount Mortar, and then there's 1 on the route up to there's Strength. I forgot about Strength. Yep, there's 4 checks behind Strength as well. So there's 6 back here. So there's a better chance of him finding something that leads him away from Morty. Oh no, Storm Badge. There's the Storm Badge. Okay, so we've found the Storm Badge, which means we have found part of Fly. That's real good. He's now making his way up the waterfall, which again, like I mentioned, having waterfall to go with your Surf, very good. And then he's going to be able to pick up these 4 checks that are the strength block checks just a little bit more efficiently, because he's going to come out right behind them when he's done with this area. Is it a big advantage? No, not really. Is it an advantage? Yeah, it is.
So Derts will be able to make it through this section a little bit more efficiently than Strife will, because he will have to return here again.
Especially if he wants his Fly, he will.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just prepared for HMO2 to also be back here somewhere, and both parts of Fly are in Mount Mortar. I'm so ready for it.
Oh, that would be so evil if you're rooting for Strife.
Yeah, like, if you're rooting for Strife, what you need to have happen next is that Strife needs to find the Fog Badge before Derts manages to track down the HMO2, or Derts is just going to have a massive movement and progression advantage. Strife is going to head over to Olivine now, just because, again, he does not do Morty, ever. And then after that, he's going to be out of places to look, and he's going to end up doing Kimono Girls and Morty. So it's just, wherever HMO2 is, you need to hope that Derts doesn't find it particularly quickly. After this, I would expect Derts is going to head over to the Lake of Rage and do the Rocket Base, just because it's good experience, it's good stat XP, and it's a bunch of items all in one place.
The Strife will check the Kimono Girls, which I believe Derts has not checked yet, so...
Derts has not checked the Kimono Girls. This could be something useful. And if this is good, if this is a very good item, I'm not going to say Strife is back in it 100% yet, but he definitely is leaning towards it. Derts has found the card key in the Surf Lock check on that route outside Mount Mortar. That's real good for him once he finds another couple badges, or another badge, actually. But if this Kimono Girls check is something really good, given that Derts has found the card key and Surf, and he's just got so many things open to him, Kimono Girls is going to be one of the last checks on his mind for a while.
For sure. So we're going to be taking a look at the shiny Gyarados in the lake here. Of course, it's randomized to be a different shiny Pokemon, so it's interesting to see what it is.
The Weezing.
So blue.
So I just think I thought of the most evil place Fly could be right now.
Alright, let's hear it.
Mystery egg check.
Oh yeah, that would be evil. Having to go back again without Fly.
Again, having to go back again without Fly.
Oh yeah. Or I guess, yeah, inside Tojo Falls, that's slightly farther away than the Mystery Egg turn-in.
I mean, that's fair. It could also be that one check outside that you outside of Tojo Falls, like before you go up them, that nobody wants to do because you want to fly away from that spot because it's just so annoying to get to. At least I don't.
Oh man, Chad has all kinds of terrible ideas on where Fly could be. All right, so Strife is wrapped up with Kimono Girls.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it is not a required item.
No, just a TM. Smurf, it is the exact restriction is it can't be after climbing Tojo Falls. So it can be the item before Tojo Falls, because you don't actually have to climb it. But it's kind of one of those things where knowing the nuance is a little bit tricky. Strife is doing Morty. Please, Strife, do Morty. He's at least doing the Burn Tower, which is good, but he's probably just doing it for the two. Nope. He's out.
He's out. So he's very committed to his personal morals here.
Yeah, Strife just had a moment of, what the heck am I doing?
It'll be a little bit longer before Strife discovers Surf is locked behind Morty.
Yeah, sorry I asked, had an even worse idea. Lost item on Mystery Egg, and then Fly is on the Copycat Girl.
Oh yeah, that was a suggested in chat as well, which is why I said, yeah, chat is giving all the evil suggestions here. And oh, actually, Durst kept the egg, so we'll...
Oh, wow, that's interesting. Yeah, actually, if you want to just be super rude about it, the Mystery Egg has the lost item has the secret potion, then Janine has the red scale, and the red scale has Fly. Like, if we're just going to be doing this game, let's do it that way.
Oh, actually... Or if you mean the item check after Janine, because I think we've already checked Janine, but...
Not Janine, I'm sorry, Jasmine.
Oh yeah, Jasmine. Although the secret... Yeah. If the secret potion shows up there, yeah, that would be very evil. But right now, Dirt's is going through the Rocket Hideout, which does unlock a good number of items, even though it takes a while to get through. I believe it unlocks 10 items in the hideout itself, and then there are 3 additional items that unlock the 2 items from defeating Price, and 1 in the guardhouse north of Mahogany.
That's correct. So that was the first item from that check. It was an antidote, but the other 10 items are going to come fast and furious. The other 9 items are going to come pretty fast and furious at this point. Having said that entire chain of let's just do it this way and put Fly at the end of that, the odds are so much better that Fly is just going to be in here somewhere. So my money is actually that it's probably in here, as boring as that would be.
And also because Strength is unlocked, there is a chance it could be in Cyanwood as well, if we want it to be somewhat evil.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, since we're doing vanilla everything else, let's just do Vanilla Fly.
It could be Vanilla Fly.
AKA the what kind of randomizer is this seed?
And without Fly, Cyanwood is probably going to be one of the last places both runners want to visit.
Yeah, Cyanwood without Fly is not fun. If you have nothing else there and you've like eliminated everything possible there, it's good to do because you know something's there. And if you have a bunch of checks open, it's also not a terrible idea to do Cyanwood because there's only 4 checks and you can reset all the way back to wherever you were if nothing pans out. But you kind of commit to one of those idea and go with it. Speaking of vanilla in Rando, totally apropos of nothing, I really want someone to do a Plando, preferably of like Ocarina of Time speedrunning, where it's completely vanilla. Every check is vanilla, except the light arrows are stashed in the most out-of-the-way, nobody wants to do check ever, so that once the runners realize, oh, this is an April Fool's prank, it's just the vanilla seed, they just skip everything and do the seed normally, except when they get the light arrows, it's like a green rupee. I really want that to happen one day, because I am a jerk.
And actually, huge thing for Dirts here, he found a rainbow wing in the hideout here.
That is massive. So remember how I mentioned earlier that you need the rainbow wing to get in? You also need to have either defeated Rocket Tower or Morty. It's going to be interesting to see which one he goes to first if he finds another badge. Because if he finds another badge, he has the key card. He doesn't have the basement key, but he has the key card, which is like the most. Oh, there we go. I got a little bit ahead of myself. So now he has access to both Rocket Tower and to Tin Tower. He has the badge or the key card for Rocket Tower. He doesn't have the basement key. But the keycard's the important one, because you can always go back and do the basement later, after you've done the tower. So, it's going to be interesting, because there's like 7 fights in Rocket Tower, where there's only 3 to get into Tin Tower, and Tin Tower, I think, has more checks. But Tin Tower is also one of those really long places, where it's like, you're just doing a whole bunch of walking.
And, oh wow, Rocket Hideout is loaded with badges.
Yep, absolutely. He's found another badge. We're at 8 badges now. Dirts.
And if I were in Dirt's position, without Fly, I would try to get as many checks out of the way that's along the way to the Rocket Tower. So that would mean, yeah, Tin Tower is probably in line next for Dirt's after the Rocket Hideout and the Mahogany section here.
Yeah, I think you're right. Tin Tower is on the way, and he's still looking for HMO2, and so you just want to do as many checks as possible. I suspect he's probably going to do Tin Tower. And given that it doesn't look like the HMO2 has shown up yet, yeah, no, it's not a bad move. So Strife just left the lighthouse. I think Strife has come to the realization there's one place left that he can do to find stuff. And so that's probably where he's going next.
Strife, once again, is going to discover the inconvenient truth that, yes, Morty can be required.
Yeah. So, Sean, to answer your question, Tin Tower access requires 2 things. You need to have the 2 items to get in, and you need some way to get past the guy who wants to see the items. So you need the clear bell to get past the gentleman up front. You need the rainbow wing to make the staircases appear. And then to get past the guy, you also have to have either completed Morty or completed Rocket Tower. Either one will let you go past him. In this case, Dirts has already done Morty, so he doesn't have to go do Rocket Tower to have access. So he has access to Tin Tower completely at this point.
Strife is saving here. I wonder what he's thinking here. Let's see. Were there any item checks that he might have missed?
He forgot that check, and he hasn't made it back down to Goldenrod yet to turn in the Kenya, I don't think. But I think he's kind of coming to the realization of, gosh darn it. Yeah, he has. He's making it. He's doing the walk of shame. There's nothing shameful about it. No runner likes to do Morty. It's just unfortunate that this is the seed that got rolled up during one of Strife's matches. It happens. It doesn't mean he's any better or any worse than anybody else. Welcome SpeedGaming 2 with a rating party of 114 people. We are in the middle of a Pokemon Crystal Full Item Randomizer race between dertswa and Strifesada. Right now, Dirts has a fairly commanding lead, and Strife is making his way towards what he needs to do next, which is Morty. And if you know anything about Strife, Strife does not like Morty.
Oh yeah, he's feeling it right now. For sure.
Yeah, and it's just unfortunate that this is how this seed has broken down so far. It's not over. Like, it's not over by any stretch of the imagination. Things are gonna open up pretty dramatically because you have Waterfall, you have Surf, you have Strength, and you have 7 badges. The world is your oyster. You can go anywhere. The seed is going to open up. It's just that Strife is a couple minutes behind getting everything open compared to where Derts is. So this race isn't over, and in fact, the race isn't over until you start sweeping Red's team. I commented a race the other day in which somebody got to Red first, couldn't set up because his pincer was weak to a Giraffurig's Ember and kept getting burnt, and his opponent caught up, set up faster, and swept through Red and won the fight. And won the race. So until Red is going down and is defeated and you're seeing those little dots and the screen goes black, this race is not over.
So I switched to audio for a second there just so we can have a second shot at identifying the roamers. At least this Suicune. And yeah, Strife is now heading into Morty.
Yeah, we're gonna identify the Suicune here in a minute anyway. So, yeah, sorry, I talked a lot and didn't. Really
I should have said something. So, but it's okay. At least based on the cries, it didn't seem like any of them were particularly powerful.
Yeah.
And, ooh, Dirts finds expansion card in price.
That's good. He's now 1 item away from Western Western Kanto, which is like the last big place that needs to be unlocked. Everywhere else is open. So once Dirts finds that Poke gear, like he can go anywhere in this world that he wants to. Which means that he has a lot of different options he can make, which means he can make all the right choices or all the wrong choices. And if he makes all the wrong choices, Strife can get back in this. This is not over until it's over.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and there's a Psychic team that is available. This is huge for the Alexian. That is Stab Psychic.
Yeah, and it's going to be big for the Gengar, too. Let's be real. Like, Psychic is a very powerful move, and given that you're working with Gen 1 Pokemon a lot, there's a ton of Poison types. So, you know, it's going to be good for both runners. It's just a little bit better for the Stab Psychic on Alakazam.
Mm-hmm.
So Dirts is making his way up to 10 Tower. He's got a couple of fights before he can get in there. But once he gets in there, again, for anybody who missed it, there's 11 checks in the tower itself. And then there's another 4 in the Ho-Oh chamber after you beat the Ho-Oh on top. So it looks like they're going to go ahead and battle through this a little bit. Strife is going to make his way and do that Morty check that he so doesn't want to have to do, but, you know, he's going to find his Fog Badge and he's going to realize, gosh darn it.
It's going to be interesting to see whether Strife will follow the same path as Dirt and head towards Mahogany, or if he will head to Southern Johto to check some of the other items that Surf will unlock for him.
It's going to be an interesting question. With having Surf and Waterfall, he's probably going to do Mount Mortar, and when you're already in Mount Mortar, doing the Rocket Underground is not particularly out of the question. So I suspect we're going to see Strife just, again, do exactly what Dirt has done. He's going to probably do Mount Mortar, get all the checks there, find his Storm Badge, head over to the Rocket Underground, find a couple more badges, and then from there, 10 Tower into the Radio Tower. Like, it's entirely possible that he's going to go, I need to do something different, and make his way over to the 2 Violet City Surf checks, but, you know, we'll see.
It looks like he's heading towards Mortar, and yeah, since now he has full access to all the items there, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, he's doing the right moves based on what he knows and what he has. Mount Mortar is objectively the right call, and he's going to find some good items in here. It's just that Dirts has already done this, and in order to catch up, Strife is either going to do everything way more efficiently and way more cleanly than Dirts did, which given that they have approximately similar strength Pokemon, is going to be a little bit tricky. Or he's going to have to break the mold and do something kind of crazy. Whoever called Seadra for the Suicune, congratulations, you were right. I saw that guess in there earlier. That was somebody guessed Seadra and they got it.
Definitely a great guess there. So now Dirts will be taking a look at all the items here. And also upcoming in Tin Tower, there are a few spots where you can use the save reset technique to save some time. There are a few crossroads here where either it will take you a long time to return to if you go down one path. And because you can't bike here, walking will take a long time, so the runners may use a save reset strategy to save on a little bit of unnecessary movement. So that will be coming up for Dirts in the next floor, I believe. On this floor is the first spot that many runners will learn to do a save reset. Right here. There we go. Because if you take that crossroads to the right, you have to go down a floor and come back all the way up, which is very slow. So the runners will save before the crossroads and then reset, which is faster.
Yep, and it's actually one of the last save reloads I learned, because I only learned about it when I started doing these commentaries and somebody explained to me, oh yeah, that is smart, isn't it? Normally I would just run it. I am not a smart man.
It's not too big of a time loss, so even if you don't, it's not too much time loss, but then in some races where every second matters, yeah, you do want to have all these tricks up your sleeve to get every advantage you can.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's the second save reset that some people will do, because walking out of that teleporter will take a long time.
Yep. At this point, I think the item Dirts most wants to see is probably the basement key, because if he is going to do Rocket Tower right after... Well, I mean, other than HMO2, obviously. If he's going to do Rocket Tower right after this, the basement key is just super useful. I said 2! He's found HMO1. That's cut. It's not quite what I meant. If he finds the basement key, he can do all of the Rocket Underground stuff all at once. Otherwise, he's going to have to come back once he finds the key. Not a huge deal. Presumably, you'll find it after you find Fly, but... Oh, man, there's so much more running around. Hey, it's a Yanma! So my dumbest claim to fame in this game is that I have defeated Red with a Yanma before. I have. It was the Lugia, it was the level 60, and it had Mega Horn is what it had. And I was able to defeat Red with it. It was the dumbest thing I've ever done. And so every time I see Yanma, I'm like, hey, that's a good Pokemon. You should catch that. Mostly sarcastically, but it's just, you know, it's fun. Alright, so it looks like Dirts has decided to go ahead and do the Kimono Girls. Not a bad idea. You've got a strong Pokemon, you're going to one-shot everything. And Morty was already required, so, like, this seed can be more trolly. You may as well. Strife's already done it, so Strife is going to be able to catch up a little bit. It's going to take a lot more than just a Kimono Girls play out of Dirts to actually catch up, though. He's going to have to go and do a whole bunch of different checks.
So luckily for Strife, there was no time lost on doing the kimonos since Dirts did decide to do kimonos as well.
Yep. That's what I was trying to say.
And looks like you guessed correctly in the Strife actually decided to come towards the Lake of Rage and check the Rocket Hideout. I would imagine the Rocket Hideout.
Yeah, no, you don't come this way unless you're going to do the Rocket Hideout. And in the rocket hideout, he'll find enough badges to trigger the rocket tower event. What did Dirts find in Tin Tower other than cut? Did he find anything?
I think that's the only thing he found.
Okay, so that might not even be required. So there's a chance that Strife might make up some time if he skips over Tin Tower. It just really depends on how Strife wants to play this. If he's feeling behind, which he probably is, then he can make a couple of different moves just depending on what he thinks is like. If I'm Strife, I'm thinking, what is the obvious play, and what is the crazy play that can get me back in this? Because if you think you're behind, and you think you're better than your opponent, then consistent play and the standard play can get you back into and even ahead of the race if you just play better. If you don't think you are ahead of your opponent, or if you don't think you're better than your opponent, then sometimes making that wild and nutsy play to to turn in the mystery egg right now and just pray that it's actually your fly TM, your fly HM, could get him back in the game.
Because, of course, getting those crazy checks out of the way early will mean that you don't have to do a lot of additional checks before you arrive at those crazy checks, which better runners will try to do the more obvious plays first before they reach those crazy locations, which means a lot of additional checks that you might not have to check because you've already found it.
Yep, of course this only pays off if the crazy check actually works for you. See, Dirts is doing those Violet City checks that we mentioned earlier, so there's 2 checks here. One of them's the Poke Gear. Okay. Dirts is just making all the right decisions this race, it looks like. I don't expect him to rush over there immediately, though, because Waking the Snorlax locks Fly. There's no Fly behind it, so he doesn't have to go over there just yet. And without Cut, to make it easy to get into West Kanto without having to do reverse Kanto up Tojo Falls, I certainly wouldn't be doing it.
Oh, look, interestingly, Dirts opts to do some logic breaking here and enter Rock Tunnel, which I think is smart because I think he right now is planning to go back to New Park and go into Tojo to check if any of those items are HMO2 before he enters the Rocket Tower, which will net you 5 or I think 6 different items, but it is a very long sequence.
Yep, one option that he could do if he really wants to, he won't find Fly doing this, but he might find something else, is he has all the items he needs to go up Tojo Falls and then make your way up to the Victory Road. And when you're in the Victory Road, you can beat your rival, head up to the Indigo Plateau, get the Fly point, open the best mart in the game, and then talk to the gentleman by the Pokemon Center. He has an Abra, and he'll teleport you all the way back to New Barktown.
Oh, that's interesting. Actually, that's something I did not know before. So, yeah, that would definitely be an interesting play to see as well. It looks like Dirts opts to not turn to New Bark to turn in the Mystery Egg or check Tojo Falls. Looks like he just wanted to check what's in Dark Cave and Route 46, and also this Mystic Waterman check right here.
I think he's got a save and reset set up, so he's just checking all of these checks at once, and if nothing turns up, he's just going to reset. So he wanted to get the Mystic Water guy out of the way before returning back.
Okay, actually, yeah, that's fair, because coming out of Route 46, that's a pretty close check he can do. And to answer Chelsea's question in chat, yes, you are allowed to use a map for those dark areas.
In fact, the tracker that most of our runners use, Emo Tracker, has the maps built in. They're just on another tab. One-click swap. So Dirt's was checking the TM. You get 5 of whatever item the aid gives you from the Mystery Egg check. So he got a TM and he was checking it. And it's 5 slam TMs, which is so not helpful since you already have Strike. So, judging by the fact that Dirts has decided to do this check first, probably means that he's not going to be climbing up Tojo Falls and making his way all the way over to the Victory Road. I still think it would be an interesting play to do. I kind of like that as a play. It's one extra fight, but it lets you check the Victory Road before fly, which is something that not a lot of people like to do. Yep, there's the reset.
So unfortunately for Durst, that backtrack did not pay off, but Strife may opt to do that same backtrack as well, in which case Durst didn't really lose any time.
No, and now Dirt's is making his way back down to the Union Cave, because once he gets to the Union Cave, he'll have a bunch more checks. There's 2 checks in the basement, and then there's 8 checks in the Ruins of Alf that you access via the Union Cave pathway. There's 4 in the chamber that requires you to bring a water stone, and there's 4 in the chamber that requires you to have defeated Ho-Oh. He's done both. He'll get all 8.
Looks like Dirt's actually opts to skip that and actually checks the Slowpoke well beforehand.
That's surprising to me. I wasn't surprised that he was going all the way to the exit, but I thought he was setting his escape rope point. I honestly thought he was going to escape rope to go out, then go back in, check the basement, escape rope out, and do the badge checks there. But I suppose this does make a little bit of sense, because once you've done the water chamber check specifically, you're actually back up by Violet City. So this is a little bit more efficient, because you're not going to have to go back through that route again. So actually, now that I'm looking at it and thinking about what he has to do to get to where he's going, this makes a lot more sense than going straight to the other thing.
So yeah, actually I like this move from Dirt as well, because yeah, as you've explained, because the water stone chamber puts you in Violet, you can just go through the crossroads back into Goldenrod a little bit sooner.
Yeah, and anybody who's never seen it, the path down to Violet requires you to actually hop a ledge, or the path into the water stone chamber requires you to hop a ledge, so you can't get back up. So if he finds something, this is going to have saved him a bunch of time, and if he doesn't find something, it's basically time neutral, because he's just going to be able to reset.
And Dirt will... Oh, right. Oh, he actually resets to Aeroblast team, which actually I think
I'm not
is
surprised.
fair. Yeah, it's fair since he is committed to the Zam, but
the Alakazam. Like at this point, the only thing that would maybe be worth swapping to is if the Snorlax was really good, like Mewtwo level's good, or the level 60, if they even get to it, is really good. But at this point, his Alakazam is already up to level 50, so it's on par with the Snorlax, and it's got a ton of stat XP, which is a sort of like an bonus experience for your stats that you pick up when you battle certain Pokemon, which just makes you better. So having a bunch of stat XP already means that swapping late into a run is actually more detrimental than doing the exact same swap early into a run.
That's a great point as well. And also, the Alakazam has a great moveset right now, so I think Dirt is more than content with the Alakazam, and he finds Mineral Badge in the Ho-Oh chamber, so looks like Strife will have to climb 10 Tower after all.
Yeah, like there's basically nothing that would convince me to swap away from this, unless there was like a Thunderbolt Psychic Mewtwo as the level 60. Like that is the only thing that I would swap for, and it has to have those moves because the Alakazam's moveset is already really good. And even then, I'd still think about it because of that stat XP.
For sure. And Dirt finds the secret potion in the water chamber room,
So, Sean's asking what the Ruins of Alf rooms are. So there's 4 chambers in Ruins of Alf, and they famously have their sliding puzzles of the Ho-Oh and the Omanite and other fossil stuff, and they unlock the unknown events. However, each one of them also has a secret back treasure room that you need to do something specific in order to open. The first one you need to use an escape rope in, The second requires you to use Flash. The third requires you to have a water stone in your bag. And the fourth requires you to have beat Ho on top of the Tin Tower. Having or doing those things in the room will go ahead and it will open the treasure room in the back. And each treasure room has 4 checks in it.
That's exactly correct.
So at this point, Dirt's finished the Ho-Oh chamber checks, and then went and did the Waterstone checks, which is where he found the mineral badge in the Ho-Oh chamber, and in the water chamber he found the secret potion, which is why you always want to do the Ho-Oh chamber first. By the way, if you have to keep both items from both Ho-Oh chamber, you can get back into Union Cave. Flash chamber, the Waterstone chamber, you cannot. So it looks like Dirts is checking the surf item just south of Goldenrod. He might even do Soft Sand Girls. I think that check is a little bit of a trap, but if you're already here and you're already this strong, he might do it anyway. There's Whirlpool. Yeah, okay, so he's going to do the Soft Sand Girls check, and then he's probably going to do Rocket Tower. Meanwhile, Strife is just making his way out of Rocket, the Rocket Underground. He's found all the items he needs there. He should probably now be doing Price, and he should be doing the other events surrounding that. And then we'll see where he goes. He's got options.
And I think one crazy play you could possibly go for a Strife right now is after defeating Price and checking the guardhouse items to north. He may even choose to go right towards Ice Path with Strength being unlocked. Although it will not give you any parts of the fly because, as we mentioned earlier, the randomizer logic dictates that fly cannot be any part of fly cannot be placed past Mahogany. Still, you might be thinking, because of that logic, Dirts probably did not go towards that, so if Strife goes there early, he may find a different route into different areas, because Dirts right now is going through the Soft Sand Girls, and he's going to check the Radio Rocket Tower, but Strife may find a different path and find a different set of items in a different location.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that Strife makes the wide path over to Blackthorn and then down south to turn in his go wide south and then turn in his mystery egg check and do that. And if he's gonna be there, he'll probably also do the Ruins of Alpha check. Oh well, he won't do the Ho-Oh chamber check, obviously, but he'll probably do the Ruins of Elf check. That said, I still probably see him heading towards Tin Tower first. He's got Tin Tower access. He's got keycard access for the Rocket Tower. There's a bunch of checks between those two. There's like 25 checks between them. I don't see why he wouldn't make that decision to go that way. It's
yeah.
It is the not correct, because there is no correct decision in doing this sort of thing. It is the more obvious decision, and so I suspect he's probably going to be lured in by that.
And after all, he did Morty so early, so he might as well go check 10 Tower that he worked very hard for. So, looks like Strife might at least check the items here in Route 44 before he heads back, so let us see if he continues into Ice Path or steps out after these 3 quick checks that are right there. So there are a total of 3 items in this route, and unfortunately none of them were required, and actually Strife will decide to go into Ice Path.
I think this is 100% a consequence of Strife feeling behind. Strife has hit a bunch of optionals, and he took forever to find his serve. I think he's just feeling, I have to do something different from the norm, or I'm going to lose.
So I think all things considered, even though he won't be finding a piece of fly this way. Still, as we've said earlier, this is a play that he's making in order to try to make up for some of the decisions that cost some time here.
Yep, and even though he has no way of knowing this right now, it's not a bad decision because Dirts hasn't found Fly either. Without having Fly, without knowing where Fly is, it's impossible to say, oh, this is a good decision versus this is a bad decision until you know where Fly is. And even then, again, there's not really good or bad decisions. There's just more and less, like, meta, I guess, is probably the right way of thinking about it, but not the right word for these checks.
At any given point, there is always a more optimal pathing for which items you decide to go for. But then, of course, just because that is the most technically efficient play doesn't mean it is correct, of course, because both decisions can net you with an item that is required to finish the ROM, so it's just a matter of when you decide to tackle them.
Yeah, and I'm sort of a big proponent of the idea, and I don't know if anybody else is, but I'm a big proponent of the idea that you're never going to know the optimal path until it's already passed, like until it's too late. So it could be that the optimal path right now is for Dirge to stop everything he's doing and go and do the Route 4 check, one of the most infamously terrible checks in the game. That could be the most optimal path. Like, he could find the cut, he could find HMO, he could find the hive badge behind it, and all the other things are locked by cut, and therefore that is the most optimal path he could make. But there's no way to know that until you've already done it. So it's not even like you've made the wrong or right decision, you've just made a decision, and whether it pans out or not is not even something that you can play for, so you just have to do what you think might be the best option at the time.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, to go back to your point about there being a meta play, most of the time, runners will opt to do a certain type of pathing that will net you the most items for the time that you spend doing them. Or I guess it's also popularly referred to as, say, like checks per minute. So that's something that some players will choose to optimize before doing anything, which is a valid decision, I think. But then, of course, there are these more out-of-the-way plays that can reward you even more if luck is in your favor. So I think that's what Strife is going for here. He is going to check these items first, hoping that that can give him an edge. And also, doing this will allow him to do a backtrack into New Bargain, check those items.
I'm gonna cut you off real fast. The rocket turn-in, the rocket item was the hive badge.
Mm-hmm. I did see that as well.
Yeah, so that gives him access to cut, which means that hypothetical that I was throwing out there earlier is not true anymore, which, you know, I figured it probably wasn't. But, so he now has access to cut. Cut opens up not as many checks as you would think, actually. It opens up a couple. There's a check south of Violet, there's 2 south of Lavender, there's the check north of Cerulean, you can do Erica now, there's 3 checks at the Lake of Rage, but in general, there's not nearly as many checks behind Cut as there is behind Strength, or Surf, or Waterfall, or Whirlpool. So it's a good item to have, but I don't know if it changes his pathing that much.
Right, but it will allow him to enter the west side of Kanto through Diglets Cave instead of having to surf across Tojo, so some movement saved there for Dirt since he can access it the faster way.
That's very fair. So Strife found the Boulder Badge on Route 46. It's useful. It's not exactly something that's going to unlock just a ton of checks for him right now, since he already has 7 badges. He needs it, so it's good he found it. But beyond that, it doesn't open up too many more places. So you can surf around the cut bush by Surge. So you can either use Surf or Cut to get to Surge. You just need one of the two.
So Strife, after he wraps up this optional fight, he will likely do that backtracking into Cherry Grove and New Bark. Looks like his stream is a little bit lagging here, but okay, yeah, it's back.
Yep. So Sean asked, Sean made the observation, you can kick the rockets out and still battle the fake director. It's even more funny than that, because you can kick the rocket, and we have logic to force this. You can kick the rockets out before you do the rocket underground, and suddenly, instead of having to defeat your rival and then something like 9 trainers, you just defeat your rival, and then you do the entire underground with no other inconvenience, and you just go rescue the director from people who aren't even guarding him anymore. It's really funny.
Clearing out the rockets and the radio tower will clear all those rockets in the Goldenrod basement, so that's definitely a nice order of doing things too.
Yep, and
save on a lot of fights.
We forced that the key card, you don't have to do the underground until you find the key card. And because there's only one check in the rocket tower that isn't also locked by the key card, as long as the key card isn't on fake director, you can always have the key card before you go into the tower. And if you do the right side of the tower before the left, you also get rid of 3 fights that you would have to do on your way to the false director. So doing keycard to kick the rockets out as the very first thing instead of the very last thing skips like 11 fights. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's more than just the basement, because it will kick out all the rockets leading up to the fake director as well, so lots of fights saved for doing it in that order. Looks like Dirts here will return to the Lake of Rage to check the items behind the cut tree, and I think that's smart because HMO2 is still nowhere to be found, and we know that it's not going to be past the Snorlax in Vermilion City, so I think Dirts right now is just desperate to find flies, so he can move around the map a bit faster.
Yep, and hey, remember that thing I mentioned earlier about how you can go all the way up to the Elite Four, and then warp back? Well, guess where Strife is going? I like this play from him because he probably is feeling so far behind that he's going to lose unless one of the Kanto badges is behind the Elite Four. So having the Elite Four opened and ready to go is going to be a good thing for him. Plus, again, it gets you access to the best mart in the game because it's the only place that sells full restores. You can find a couple, but you can't buy them unless you go all the way up to the Indigo Plateau.
So yeah, I think Strife going for this type of play is definitely telling me that he feels he's on the back foot and he needs to go for these out-of-the-way checks in order to see if he can gain some time that way, so that he doesn't have to go through a lot of additional checks before arriving to these crazy checks, like Elite Four, for example.
Absolutely. I don't expect him to do the Elite Four right now, but he might. He might. I need this or I lose.
I think he is capable of taking on the Elite Four with his Gengar that's already level 52 and has a very solid moveset. So if he chooses to, I think he will be able to take on the Elite Four.
He's absolutely capable of doing the Elite Four. His moveset's solid, his Gengar's strong. It's just, the Elite Four is 30 Pokemon. It's 6 fights of 5, and they take forever. Even if you can one-shot every single Pokemon, it's still a long set of fights. And it's your death when you're done. That said, he does know that he has access to both of the checks. He has the Clear Bell, he has the Rainbow Wing, and he has defeated Morty, so, you know, might be worth considering.
Oh, I think he accidentally took the ledge down there, so he will be making a second trip to that item, but not a big deal. So it'll be interesting to see whether he does go for that Elite Four play, or if he knows to warp back to New Bark and take that instead.
Yep, and as Jimnick says, happy 2 hours, we still haven't found Fly.
Not the happiest of 2 hours, but it has been 2 hours indeed.
I think it's been a good race so far. And again, I think any race has been a good race, so maybe I'm just a little bit biased.
Yeah, it's not the worst it could be, but it's also not the best. And yeah, looks like Strife is at least going to set the flight point before heading back, so...
I think Strife is the one who told me about the guy who can teleport you back, so I'm pretty sure Strife knows that that guy exists. I wouldn't be surprised to see him warp back immediately. I also wouldn't be surprised to see him do it. Here's an interesting question for you. Given Derts' position, but the fact that Derts doesn't know anything other than what he's done, given that he still has no fly, given how awful Surf was as some checks, do you think Derts thinks he's behind, or do you think Derts knows he's ahead?
Be too sure, but if I were in Dirt's position, I would think I might be maybe slightly behind, but not too far behind, because I think so far Dirt's routing has been pretty good.
Dirt's routing has been solid, and he's making the play to go into Whirl Islands. You don't go this route unless you're doing Whirl Islands. So he's going to do Dark Whirl Islands. Everything he finds there is going to be out of logic for Flash, but it's, you know, depending on what you find here, it can tell you interesting things about where Flash may or may not be.
And in this case, because the only Johto badge he's missing is Zephyr, we know that can't be in here because, of course, in order to use Flash outside of battle, you need both Zephyr badge and HM05. So he may be able to find perhaps a Kanto badge in here, maybe one of the key items that he's missing, like the machine part, basement key.
Yep. Finding one of the key items is going to be the interesting thing. If he finds the machine part or he finds the basement key, he knows that the Zephyr badge cannot be behind those items, so he can eliminate them from his search for the Zephyr badge. Of course, he's not even really specifically looking for the Zephyr badge right now. Okay, Strife doesn't. It looks like Strife doesn't know about the guy who can warp you back. I thought he might have been the one who told me about that, but I guess not. But like, if he finds the basement key and he's later looking for the Zephyr badge, he knows that he doesn't have to do Rocket Underground because he can't be there. He finds the Earth badge though, and that will help.
So at least now he knows that all the other dark locations can possibly be in logic. Although I think at this point he's done all but Rock Tunnel and Whirl Island, which he is doing right now.
Yep. So he knows that Flash is going to show up somewhere, which is useful but not, because the only things that's locked behind having all 16 badges, which is the only thing you get checks for at this point, is Mount Silver. And neither part can be in Mount Silver anyways, because the very first room is dark.
Mm-hmm.
So interestingly, even though my computer just made a noise that I do not like. Sorry about that. Even though he found the Earth badge in here, it actually doesn't tell him anything about the seed he didn't already know.
Oh, one thing interesting Thirst did here is that he actually stepped out of Whirl Islands on the, I believe this was the southwest entrance, and then stepped back in to pick up the remaining items. And actually that's pretty smart, because once you're done with checking all the items in Whirl Islands, you want to be going to Signwood at this point. And stepping out here will make it so that you escape out of an entrance that's closer to Signwood than where you entered from. So, very smart play from Dirts here.
It is incredibly smart, and I definitely would not have done it, but I'm feeling that from now on. It's amazing what just watching people who know what they're doing race can tell you. Like, I didn't know half of the tricks these guys used, but that's very clever.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Let's see. Are we going to get Vanilla Fly? I'll even take French Vanilla Fly at this point. If Chuck gives it to you straight out, I'll still take that.
Oh yeah, that's close enough to Vanilla. I'll take that.
That said, for some reason, I'm getting the feeling that it's actually one of the 2 checks south of Lavender Town. I don't know why, that's just what I'm feeling.
Yeah, that's that point, yeah, those 2 items can also be in Logic Sense. Cut is available now.
Yeah, so Sean is asking where Fly can even be at this point. So there's only a couple of places that are still in Logic for Fly that Dirts hasn't checked with the items he has. It can be on Erica, it can be on the 2 checks south of Lavender Town, it can be here at Cianwood or on Chuck's wife. It can also be on I already mentioned Erica, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It can be there. If he finds the basement key, it can be in the basement. If he finds the machine part, it can be behind the machine part quest. And then, of course, it can be on the red scale in the Lost Doll Turn. Beyond that, he actually doesn't have just a ton of checks left.
Mm-hmm. And actually going back to one of the evil suggestions in the chat, one location that did open up is the cut item check past where Janine is.
I forgot about that one. Yes, that is entirely possible it can be there as well. You don't want to go to that one unless you either have a save warp set up or it's the last place left and it has to be there because, oh my god, it is so far away.
Oh, yeah. And we're able to figure all that out because we know exactly where Fly cannot be at this point. In Kanto, you cannot step into West Kanto. So after waking up the Snorlax, if you have to go past there, Fly is not going to be there. Also, Fly cannot be within Misty Gym, so you don't have to. If you have to step into the gym, then Fly is not going to be there. So it's not going to be on the item Misty gives or the machine part item check. But of course, as Glacial has mentioned, it can still be one of the turn-in items for returning the machine part to the power plant owner.
Yep, there's a bunch of checks that can still be, but it requires them to have found something that it can be. So let's see what Chuck's got. He's got an item that we didn't get to pick up, and he's got a TM. So the TM was probably not actually takedown because of the way that the randomizer. But let's see what Chuck's wife has. Rare candy. Okay, it is not Vanilla Fly.
A little bit unfortunate for Dirts here, but
it's a little unfortunate for Dirts that he didn't find it because you don't want to do Cianwood without Fly. But I still like the decision that he did because he was able to do Dark Whirl Islands. Like when you can combine Whirl Islands, which is like 14 checks, with Cianwood, I still think it's worth doing even if you don't have Fly, just because it's so many checks.
Oh yeah, for sure. And even if you don't have Fly right now, Whirl Islands has so many items that it is a location that you do want to come back later anyways, and in this case, Stripe will be coming to here as well since Earth Badge is in there, so...
Yep, and it's one of those things where I can also totally respect somebody's decision to not make it if they're still crushing to try and find Fly, because you don't have either part of Flash. It means you have to find both parts of Flash in order for Fly to be in there. Fly could still be in there, and if it is, you know a lot about both the location of the Zephyr Badge and HM05. Oh, that was interesting. Did you see Strife reset that?
Yeah. So I think, Strife also reset the Air Blast TM, right?
Yeah, but I think he also just reset the Secret Potion.
The Secret Potion was in the Water Chamber.
Yeah, that's where he just was. He just reset Secret Potion. He saw Secret Potion and was like, I probably don't need this reset. It got him out of the cave a lot faster and got him back down here. Remember how we mentioned that Dirts did this and it was more efficient because he didn't have to go all the way back through Union Cave again? I think that's why he's doing this. But having reset the Secret Potion, he's just taking the risk that Jasmine doesn't have it. Or he's going to warp back again and he's going to go back and get the Secret Potion.
So actually, luckily for Strife, Jasmine does not have any required items, as Dirts has already beat Jasmine, so Actually, it looks like Strife might be heading.
He's going back for it.
He's going back for it. Okay.
He wanted to check Slowpoke well and was like, oh shoot, I either have to reset this item and come back for it afterwards, or I have to go all the way back through the route and through Union Cave to get back to Slowpoke well. And he decided that resetting and coming back here was still going to be the faster option. So it's just a little bit of movement inefficiency. But, you know, he's got his item. He's back over by Violet, so he can just go from here. Smurf, I think you might have got that a little bit backwards. Jasmine has nothing, so it's the smart play to have it just in case, but it's not the right play because there's nothing there. I think is probably the better way to think about it.
Yeah, of course. Stripe doesn't have the knowledge that, you know, Jasmine is not recorded. And what kind of randomizer? The Snorlax static is actually a Snorlax.
Oh my god, I've never seen that before. What kind of randomizer is this?
And oh, I should probably explain this too. So actually, Dertswa decided to throw a level ball without weakening it, and that is something unique to the speed choice randomizer that we use as a base to do the randomizations. Because of the way level ball is coded, it basically acts as a master ball where it has a perfect catch rate, if not close to perfect.
But only if the Pokemon is a lower level than you, right?
So HM2 is actually here.
Called it! I will take my accolades now. Darts has finally found Cut. Fly. Cut. Fly. Fly. He's found Fly. Find Cut 2 hours and 13 minutes into the seed. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this ROM definitely has not been kind in terms of where Fly is. It's a lot of back and forth that you have to do.
This seed started so good. Super Rod in Union Cave into a level 40 Ghastly and Alakazam for the mains. This seed started amazingly good for these runners, and everything else has been awful.
Oh yeah, these item locations have been progressively getting worse and worse. But
Vanilla Fog Badge, Fly is behind Rocket Tower because that's where the Hive Badge was. Like, there's so much that is just, this has been the worst.
Yeah, Fly has been locked behind so many different things here.
There's found Flash on the old man who normally gives you the Silver Wing at Computer Study. And then hit an optional, which that optional is super easy to hit because most optionals in this game start facing to the left. That one starts facing to the right. I don't know why. He just does.
Yeah, that spinner is evil. And it also spins the wrong way, I think. It spins...
It does. I don't know why either of those two things are true, but I don't like it. It's rude.
Yeah, so it's incredibly difficult to dodge that spinner, especially if you're coming out of Diglett's Cave.
Yeah, to dodge it coming out of Diglett's Cave, you like need perfect movement to the cut bush from a specific angle, and then you have to go through the grass. It's just annoying. There's the Pokedex. There's the one item you don't want.
It does shift all your menuing down a line, so that can cause a little bit of hiccups while you're trying to menu, so...
I still maintain that if you have Dex Beep on, it's slightly useful if you're trying to find a main. Like, you've seen a Mewtwo and you know that you want to use one, and you look and you see it's in Victory Road. Okay, I can get like a level 43 Mewtwo, but which floor is it on? That's why Dex Beep is so useful.
But of course, it's very slow to actually check that, so... In most cases, you do not want the Pokédex, not only because it ruins your menuing a little bit, which is a slight annoyance. If you find it very early and you're still trying to catch Pokemon for a main switch, now you'll be seeing that Dex entry screen every time you can try to catch a Pokemon, so that's also a little bit of time lost, so...
Yep, I'm just waiting for Mom to have your Pokédex and just make the entire seed miserable.
Yeah.
Like, if I was going to do the worst Plando I could come up with, Mom would have your Pokedex, Fly would basically be like what we just had happen. Or that thing earlier where I claimed you're doing like 18 different one-off checks that all lead to each other all the way across the map.
That's the worst one. You have back to back to back fetch quests where you have to go from here to there and there to there.
This is just why nobody should ever let me make Plando seeds, because I come up with the worst, best ideas.
So it looks like Dirts will not set the flight point for Elite 4. Which, of course, will save you time if Elite 4 is not required.
Yeah, at this point, I think it's probably the smart call from him to go ahead and skip that one.
Yeah, there's still a lot of different checks left that can lead to all the remaining badges here.
That, and also getting back there, now that you have West Cano access and just can go through Viridian and can fly, it's a lot faster than if you would have had to go up Kojo Falls without flying. So, at this point, getting the item that way, definitely probably the easier option. He's going to come down here, he's going to check the Whirlpool item that Strife couldn't get because he didn't have Whirlpool at the time. We'll see what it is, and then he's probably just going to fly off someplace else. No, see, Fusion Warrior, the entire purpose of making the Plando is to make it the most evil, unfun thing anybody has ever done. So your starters obviously need to be like Caterpie, Weedle, and like Sentret. And just have nothing good in the first couple of routes. No, I'm sorry, not even that. Make them the weakest of all the fully evolved starters, so that's Ditto, Smeargle, and Delibird.
Or, alternatively, and this has been done in a Plando before, is to make all your encounters on the first route, where you likely don't have Repel, to have the Pokemon with the longest cry in the game. That, yeah, you can't really use as a good meme with Jinx. I think it's been done before where in the starting round every encounter was Jinx, which has an extremely long cry.
I would do that.
It's been done before in the community. I personally didn't play that, but some people had a blast with that one.
That just sounds delightful. Yep, so Fly was found at the cut bush below Lavender that doesn't require Surf. And of course, Cut was behind the radio tower, and da-da-da-da. It was like, it's a long trace back to get this Fly. It is a long way to go.
And HMO1 was in Tin Tower. Of course, which Rainbow Wing was in the Rocket Hideout, so it's a long sequence of events leading up to that cut tree.
It's actually probably one of the longest sequences to get to Fly that I've ever seen. So don't forget, to even have the logic to be able to do that in logic, it was the squirt bottle on the Rising Badge check, and the Rising Badge was in Union Cave. Like, every single part of this Fly logic has been about as mean as you could possibly make it.
So Dirt's here is going to make his way through Ice Cave that actually Stripe has already gone through, so...
Yeah, this is going to net Stripe a little bit of makeup time. Just a little bit. If Dirt stops and does Claire, which I don't expect that to happen immediately because Claire is not particularly fun. It's 6 fights for 5 checks. Then something might show up there, or it might not. You never know. But, I kind of expect Dirge just to follow the same path that Strife did, where he's just going to go ahead and he's going to head back down to Route 45, get all those checks, and then he's probably going to fly off and go do something else. We're getting to the part of the show, everybody, where Dirge is just going to start basically blitzing through the gym leaders in Kanto, because he's getting close to the point where he's down to just needing to do those checks. Jimmix, the fact that you've seen a worse Fly than this kind of scared me, to be honest with you.
think in one of my randomizer runs, I think the worst I've seen was Vanilla Fly and Storm Veg being in Tojo Falls.
Oof.
That was one of the worst logics I've seen, and I think there has been an even worse one in one of the very first full item randomizers I've done, where we were doing 2-on-2 team races, and most people found it past the 2-hour mark.
Wow.
Me and my partner found it almost at the 3-hour mark. I forget exactly what the placement was, but yeah, they're having a lot of evil item placements.
See, now I want to do team randomizer races, and more than that, does multi-world exist for this?
Multi-world?
So, Ocarina of Time Randomizer, one of the things that they have is they have multi-world, where you actually sync up a bunch of games simultaneously. So, like, if you and I were playing multi-world, I might be able to find your hook shot in my game. So I find it, and you get the hook shot.
Oh, I don't think we have that implemented here. So, in the past when I have done team races, it's usually everyone is still playing the same seed. And it's just that the responsibility of which item checks to do are divided among everyone in your team. So if it's like a 2-on-2, like I might choose to go to Cyanwood while you could go to like Kanto, for example, to sort of divide up the work. I think that's how it's been done before.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I know that multi-world exists for at least 1 or 2 games, and now I'm like, we need multi-world for this, because that would be amazing.
Oh yeah, that would be chaotic and fun. Okay, so yeah, Dirt's is going to go through a little tour of all the Kanto gym leaders here. And I think at this point there aren't any very lucrative item locations left, so...
I'm curious as to what Strife is doing.
Strife is returning to the Ho chamber, it seems like, because earlier he went to the water chamber first, without going to Tin Tower. And then...
yeah, so he is. It's an interesting choice of routing, because he chose to go through Goldenrod to get there, which I think is probably the slower of the 2 paths.
Yeah, I think it is the slower route. So, I think Strife is maybe just feeling the heat a little bit because he might think he's behind. And I think rightfully so because of how much progress he is still missing 2 hours and 24 minutes in, so... And after hitting more than 4 optionals, I would definitely be feeling the heat as well.
Oh, absolutely. Like, the longer this goes without him finding Fly, the worse he's going to feel. And we know the path to Fly.
Mm-hmm. And Stripe...
If he wants Fly, he's gonna have to go do Rocket Tower, and then go to the check south of Lavender Town. The problem is that a lot of people don't like to do Rocket Tower without basement key. It's not logically locked, it's just people want to do all of those checks at once, so they put it off.
That's something, yeah, popular for sure. But in this case, with the types of checks that is still remaining for Strife, I think still going for the radio tower without having access to the basement is a play that he might be looking forward to do.
Yeah, it is. It's only 5 checks. 6. 5. It's 5. It's 5 checks. It's only 5 checks, but he should be aware that it's probably like the most check-dense location he has. It's just also one of the most fight-dense locations he has as well.
And actually Strife is saving at the crossroads here, which is suggesting that he is going to head to maybe Olivine. Because he did pick up the secret... Oh, I forgot to mark it, but yeah, he did pick up the secret potion, so he might be looking to tackle Jasmine and then head into Whirl Islands and Cyanwood, as he did pick up the Whirlpool HM.
That's good, at least. He's gonna find a couple of badges in there, I think. No, he's gonna find the Earth badge, but it's still something he's gonna have to do. Dirts is starting the boss rush. Every single one of these seeds seems to get to the point where all you really have left is like all of the Kanto gym leaders and all of the checks that nobody wants to do, like Route 4 and Going Forward. So he's doing what is probably the easiest of these checks, which is the fast Kanto leaders. So it would be Surge. He's already done Sabrina. Erica's pretty quick. I would say Misty is quick, but he hasn't been over to the place yet, the power plant. And so
yeah, he hasn't talked to the manager yet.
Yeah, so he's got to do that. He's already done the bridge, so he can get to her quickly, but he's got to do that first. And nobody wants to do that without the machine part, because that only logically locks 2 chests just talking to the guy. So as long as the machine part isn't one of those 2, you're gonna waste time.
Yeah, so people definitely prefer to have the machine part before heading to the power plant manager, but hey, you could also have vanilla machine parts, so, you know. At some point, people will opt to do the double dip so that they can check that last item. But it looks like for Dirts, he's going to head south into possibly Blaine. Blaine is probably the fastest in terms of just fights, because there are no extra trainers in his gym, and he holds only 3 Pokemon. So I think tied with Sabrina in the sense that the gym fight itself is very quick.
Yeah, Blaine's the time for Blaine comes from getting to him. Once you get to Blaine, then it's actually not that hard. It's just getting there to begin with that's a little bit rough.
But he will be able to unlock Blue on the way, which he might be interested in taking down as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, Blaine and Blue are 2 of the fastest checks you can do once you have a Pokemon that's capable of actually beating Blue. The trick with Blue is that Blue's Pokemon are like level 56.
Yeah, the Blue fight is very rough.
That said, Alakazam was Psychic. He'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll probably be fine. And Strife... Oh, maybe he forgot to pick up the item here. So yeah, he's going to escape rope out of the White House now. And actually, okay, he needs to fight Jasmine, and then it'll be interesting to see whether he will head on to Signwood and Whirl Islands. Meanwhile, Dirt's here having no problems at all through Blaine. And it looks like it's nothing important. And Dirt's... I'm not sure why he's surfing. Maybe he doesn't remember that the path to... Yeah, Fuchsia here is actually blocked from the south.
It's interesting because
it did open up. So I think maybe I'm forgetting a trigger that does open up that path.
I didn't know that path opened at all. Today I learned. The funny thing is, despite all of that, I'm willing to bet you that flying to Fuchsia and then running probably still would have been faster.
Yeah, I think that still would have been faster, but an interesting showcase here from Dirts that I wasn't even aware of.
I genuinely had no idea that ever opened. I thought it was just completely blocked the whole time.
Yeah, I guess it does open up when you come from the south, at least from what chat is suggesting.
Right, so Dirts is prepping, and Dirts is about to go into his Blue fight, which, reasonable. It's not an easy fight.
Oh, and also great point from chat is because Dirts actually reset the fly point in Fuchsia, he was not able to fly there, so he took the quick route there. So actually, that was very smart from Dirts, realizing that he can enter from the south side when he doesn't have the fly point.
Oh wow! I forgot he reset Janine. How's that stroke case? Yeah, I genuinely am shocked that worked out so well for him. I had no idea that was how that worked.
Oh, yeah, pretty great presence of mind from Dirts there to remember that. Yeah, he does not have a fly point for trying to fly there. And wow, yeah, blue does have quite a bit of bulky Pokemon on his possession, but yeah, this Alakazam is not going to really sweat too much.
Not at level 58. Alakazam is still fairly weak physically, but at level 58 or 59 at this point, like, he's probably feeling pretty good, and he's got great coverage moves. Water, Psychic, Thunder, and I forget his last move?
Yes, Ice Beam.
Right, Ice, duh, obviously. The thing that made him run it in the first place, yeah. Now, if this Azumarill would stop getting healed... There we go, now he's through.
And another Victory Bell, so he's going to make very quick work of that.
My favorite thing ever is when trainers will send out the same Pokemon twice in a row. It's like, it didn't work the first time, why do you think it's going to work the second?
And looks like, unfortunately, blue didn't pay off either, so he is going to return to Claire. And I think this is a smart play. Even though it is 6 different fights, it still unlocks 5 different items, and at this point, there aren't too many locations left to check. So this is probably the most dense item location left for Dirts right now.
It's definitely the most dense. It's also, at least in my experience, the most of a trap. Like, I find that Dragon's Den is so often not required, even when it looks like it's going to be. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Strife is wrapping up his Cianwood. He's probably going to reset the entire thing back to the Crossroads and then go do Rocket Tower, which is what he needs to do to find that Hive badge. So it's definitely a good play. How is it that we're 2.5 hours into this seed and we're still missing 4 badges? Wow.
Yeah, this is not a very friendly seed, and I think that's part of the reason why Dirts is taking on Claire here, is because he still has 4 badges left to go, and also is missing a few key items that could lead to more item checks, so I think he's definitely thinking there are enough key items remaining that going for the dense item location is likely to net him with something.
There's a dragon in the Dragon Gym.
So yeah, man, I can only imagine if Super Rod was not available so early, how much tougher the seed would have been for both the owners, because...
Oh man, it would have been awful. It really would have.
Yeah.
Although it may not have been. We don't know what Pokemon were available in the wild, in those places that people normally check. So there could have been something really good there.
Yeah, that's true.
Red with Megahorn would definitely give Dirts a run for his money. It would be interesting to see if that would be just like a hard shutdown or what. Strife still isn't out of this. He's got a big mountain to climb, and it's just getting bigger every minute.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Strife, he is following the track of Dirts right now, so he's doing a little bit of catch-up in terms of item checks.
Yeah, it is worth noting, though, that Alakazam is still a fairly... Like, it's a good Pokemon offensively, it's not great defensively. It's very fragile. If it gets hit really hard with, like, a super effective move, like, if Red's lead has Shadow Ball, Crunch, Megahorn, something like that, Dirts is going to be in for a not fun time on Red.
For sure, and I've been in that exact situation with an Alakazam, so you never know.
I've been in that situation when the lead had Cross Chop, because if you resist it, it still hurts.
I think the worst I've seen was when I did have an Alakazam, and it wasn't the lead, I believe, but... Oh, so Strike finds the Earth Badge here as well. But Red once had a level 77 Mewtwo with Crunch. That was probably the worst I've seen.
Youch. Yeah, so I've gotten pretty lucky on Red most of my fights. I think the worst I've ever seen was a Machamp with Wild Throw.
Oh.
I forget what it was I was running that seed. It wasn't weak to fighting, but it didn't resist it either, and it did like 3/4 of my health in one hit. Oh, it was the Electabuzz seed. That's what it was. That was the seed.
Yeah.
It was the seed I had access to the Lugia at 40 minutes, and I caught it, and it was an Electabuzz, and I just ran that the whole game.
So definitely there are still a couple ways that Dirts can be stopped in his tracks that will let Strife catch up, so it's not over until it's over, so it'll be interesting to see if their main choices will cause some of that variance towards the end.
Absolutely, and that's why I said that until you are sweeping through red, and even then it's not guaranteed, but until you are sweeping through red, this race isn't over.
So Dirts here is going to wrap up with all the Dragon's Den checks here.
Yep, so he's checked the first two. Those are the ones you don't need Whirlpool for. They were both nothing. Up next is the badge check, the TM check, and then I don't know what the last item is in the Dragon's Den. I'm assuming it's like a dragon scale or something. But yeah, so this is a pretty easy section. It's 5 questions. It's the easiest way to get through it is just 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. Somehow Claire can't pass this quiz, especially because the Elder, literally, if you give a wrong answer, the Elder just goes, what'd you say? I didn't quite hear you, and asks again until you say the right thing. So I'm not sure what's up with Claire and why she can't pass.
And ooh, you have the basement key.
That is going to be pretty nice. I know where Dirts is going next.
And I think that is probably the best outcome here, as that will unlock a lot of different item checks for him, which hopefully will have many of the badges that he's looking for.
Yeah, of course, the longer the seed goes, the more and more likely it's going to be an Elite Four seed, so that's going to be fun. Meanwhile, Smurf brings up a pretty, kind of fridge horror point. The quiz is just don't be a jerk and say you like to bully people and beat your Pokemon, and Claire still can't pass it. Claire, is there something you want to tell us?
Or Claire just shouts the answers, and so the Elder can hear it clearly the first time she says it. That's also very possible. But yeah, so yeah, Dirts is going to make his way towards the basement, and yeah, Strife, unfortunately, only finds the Earth badge through all this, and he's going to surf his way back. I think for him, the radio tower is probably a very glaring check that he is. Oh, I was really hoping you would not run into this optional, because this optional has 6 Pokemon, so if you run into this optional, you are staying here for a while.
Yeah, and it looks like Strife saved at some point during this little trek, so he can't just reset back to the crossroads. Honestly, if I was Strife, I would have still reset away that Earth badge, because you know where it is, it's out of logic anyways, which means you're going to find Flash at some point, and it's going to be much faster to get back to the crossroad to get to a place that is going to open up more checks. Because at this point, he needs to find Fly. Like, he knows he needs to find Fly, and the running back and forth is just going to take a long time. So I would have reset all the way back to the crossroads if I could. Maybe that's just me.
It's a very valid reset back, though, because, of course, he only found the one Earth badge, which you can always fly back to Olivine and surf down and just blitz for that one item check and leave. So I think that could have been a play that Strife could have gone for, but he's going to defeat the optional and make his way up to Olivine.
Yep. It is what it is.
And Dirt is going to open up the puzzle doors here so you can access the 2 items on this floor. There are 2 different patterns you can use to access it quickly. One pattern is to go for the switches from right to left, 1, 3, 1, 2. Or you can go 1, 2, 1, 3. And there's finds a machine part here, so that's another additional item check that he can go for. It will unlock 2 new checks, plus turning in the machine part will reward you with an item.
Yep. Plus, going to the power plant at all will include another 2 checks as well because of the vanilla machine part and the Misty fight.
He has not checked those yet, so it will net him with those 2 additional checks.
He also hasn't done Rock Tunnel, I just realized. Neither of these runners have gone into Rock Tunnel yet.
Oh, that's true. I think Dirts may have been waiting to pick up the machine part, perhaps. And Flash, which he does have access to now, but he still has yet to find Zephyr Badge, so he knows that it's technically not in Logic.
No, it's not in Logic yet, but it's probably... Hey, there's Rock Smash. It's always interesting to see where that winds up. It's 5 items, and if you can do the movement, which is not particularly hard in the dark, it's 5 items very quickly. The only thing you have to do is be able to defeat a level 35.
Or he may have been waiting for Fly, so he can fly out of the power point more quickly. But whatever the logic that Dirt was going through, he will be able to get through Rock Tunnel now, and also turn in the machine part right away, so he is able to get the most efficient item checks for just doing a 1 pass through.
Yeah, my favorite thing about Dirts is he just realized that he reset his initial trip to Lavender, and when he found Fly, what he actually did was he came at it from the Snorlax, so he hasn't been to Lavender yet and can't fly there, which is hilarious.
Oh yeah, and maybe Dirts had to leave his desk, because yeah, he's just standing still, right? But I'm sure he'll be back.
Yeah, hopefully everything's okay. Like there's not like a... okay, it looks like he's good. I think he might have just been trying to figure out what his next move was gonna be. Like, it was a little weird, but it looks like everything's okay, so we don't really need to worry about it too much.
Yeah. So yeah, he'll head straight to Rock Tunnel now. All he has to do is defeat this one trainer with 1 level 35 poke, and then he'll be on his way.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of doing Rock Tunnel very early.
Oh yeah, it's very easy 5 items right there. And you can always just escape rope back to Lavender if you choose to, or you can go all the way through. And especially if you have cut before entering Rock Tunnel, you can always just use the cut tree to get back to Cerulean without any additional fights.
Yep.
The Dirts will do the one last dark area on his way towards Machine Part.
Yeah, at least until we get to Mount Silver. There's one in there as well, but by then he'll have the Zephyr Badge.
Oh yeah, for sure. He already found the Flash HM, so he will be able to use that for Mount Silver.
But what if he doesn't find the Zephyr Badge?
Well, you see, in order to enter Mount Silver, you do need to have all 16 badges and talk to Oak. So
yes, I was kidding.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I thought I'd still just explain it in case there are viewers who are new to this, and
that's valid. I haven't explained it in 2 hours and 45 minutes. We probably had some new people show up.
Oh yeah, for sure. And oh, there's the lost item in here.
So many fetch quests. What is going on?
We still have yet to find the red scale.
So to anybody who's curious about, well, how is the power plant in Logic if you have to go through Rock Tunnel to get there? You can also get there by going through the route that connects it to Cerulean, and that just requires cut. It just needs one of it. It can be behind the machine part because you can get there through that route I was just mentioning. Yeah, keeping track of all the logic in this game and how it works is actually not particularly easy.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of different pieces of logic working together. And of course, depending on what items you find first, that logic can break wide open or put you in very unexpected situations like we saw in this ROM where you had to backtrack all the way to Newbark in order to find the squirt bottle. Even though you already had the SS ticket to go to North Johto.
Yeah, it's funny. The squirt bottle opened up one check, but it also opened up like 100 checks for like logic for just Fly. And then Fly proceeded to be literally in the worst place I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dirts here is going to check the items that he can't find for turning in the machine part. So those were the 2 checks. One in Lavender Town in the radio tower, and one here for the what normally rewards you with a lost item. But of course we found the lost item in Rock Tunnel, so we'll be taking that to the copycat girl here. It normally gives out the magnet pass.
This can be one of the other 3 badges, but not the Zephyr badge. It was just a random item. I think it was a PP up. So at this point, if I was him, I'd be doing the 2 checks in Misty's gym, and then after that, probably Brock, and then Erica, and well, actually, probably Brock, and then Erica, and then I'm starting to look real close at that Elite Four play. Why did my brain just say that Elite Four like 4 times? Hey, there's the Volcano badge.
That's really good because with how many badges left, with very few checks left, Elite Four is going to start looking more and more likely. But the more badges you find before that, the less likely you have to go up there. So.
Yep, and the Kanto badges are harder to find than the Johto badges, except for the Mineral badge, just because they don't lock anything. Unless they're going to lock the radio tower itself, like you have to find all 7, they don't actually lock anything, because the only thing that they can lock is Mount Silver. So that means that the Rainbow badge and the Marsh badge, which are still missing, can be literally anywhere. Stripe has finally found his Hive badge. So now Stripe has access to all the cut checks, and judging just from where he is and where he's going next, and where he could go next to use those cut checks, the 2 places I would be looking at first are the place where you are going to find Fly, just because I think those are important. Those are like easy checks to get to, and Lake of Rage, just because there's 3 there. Yeah, as Fusion Warrior puts it, it's 7 Ice Rod hunts. It's actually 8, but yeah, it's the Ice Rod hunts in that it can be literally anywhere because it only locks 1 set of checks. We know the Zephyr badge can't be behind a couple of things. The other 2 can be, they can be literally except in Mount Silver.
So let's see, what checks are remaining for Dirt? So he has yet to fight Brock, he has yet to enter Route 4, and he already fought Blue, so it's Brock, Route 4, and...
Erica.
I thought he already fought Erica.
Did he do Erica already, Chad? I could have sworn he didn't.
I think he might have done Erica, which leaves... I think the Elite Four after that.
Okay, he has done Erica. So yeah, he's getting real close to being out of checks.
Although, I think for Dirts right now, the ideal situation would be to find the Zephyr badge first before heading to E4, because that will at least unlock the Flash Chamber in the Ruins of Alph, which gives him access to 4 more items.
Yep. Meanwhile, Strife is doing something here called a box heal. He's going to go into the move menu, move the Gengar into the box, and then move it out of the box. And when it was in the box, it got a full heal, because that's just a thing that happens in these games. And so now it's like using a Pokemon Center, but faster.
It's especially useful when you don't want to walk all the way to Poke Center, like in the Rocket Tower, for example, you can use this PC to heal your Pokemon instead of having to go all the way down to the center. And we find a Zephyr Badge, which is probably the best item that Derts could have wished for right now.
Yep, so there's the Zephyr Badge. It was located on Brock, which means he's got a couple of checks left. Yeah, he's not doing Elite Four, he's not doing Round 4, he's going straight to the Flash Chamber. And it's entirely possible that both badges are going to be either on this guy, the Miracle Seed guy, who gives you his item once... Yep, there's one of them. Once you have the Zephyr Badge, he'll give you an item. And it's normally a Miracle Seed, and right now it's the Zephyr Badge. Or the Marsh Badge. And it's entirely possible that the last one's in the Flash Chamber. If it's not, it's either on the Route 4 or the Elite 4. So, let's see.
Or if the red scale turns up, that could be an option as well, but that only unlocks one additional check, so definitely we're not going to have too many item checks remaining at the end of all of this.
Alright, here we go. No.
And the Rainbow Badge.
Alright, that's it. Durst is in go mode. Durst has found his last badge. At this point, he has two things left to do. He's got to go talk to Oak, and then he's got to gun it to Mount Silver.
So it looks like we are not going to have 100% seed this time around.
No, but it was close.
We ended up very close, yeah. We're really only missing the red scale check and Elite 4, which unlocks 2 additional checks.
And Route 4.
In Route 4, so yeah. Only a few checks from being a hundo seed. And yes, to answer your question, Sean, for the randomizer, we have it set so that the Elite Four is not required to spawn in red.
Thankfully.
Oh yeah.
That would just be a nightmare.
Yeah, nobody wants to do E4.
Strife has found out that the soft sand girls are a scam. And he is now making his way to someplace else.
Yeah, unfortunately, based on the items that Strife still has left to go, it's going to take a lot of conditions for Dirt to be stuck on red for a while Strife catches up, so...
It has to be something that is faster than him, with a 100% accurate move, that can one-shot his Alakazam, guaranteed, and has enough PP to stall out, and even then, all he's got to do is just go get enough revives, so you can just keep reviving.
So yeah, Dirt definitely has a commanding lead right now, so... It seems like this match is all in the hands of Dirt, but ooh, we have a Mega Horn.
That was okay. This is so we were saying that the Mega Horn might be dangerous. Unfortunately, it's a Furret, which means that it's not going. It might. This is actually really bad because it's going to two-shot him, which means that he can defend the first turn, survive, but then he just heals and then just yo-yos his health back up and down. He's got to come up with something else, and he's going for Flash. He is going to try and get the Flash on the Snorlax to drop the accuracy of Mega Horn enough that he can get the Alakazam in and set up and kill it without getting just murderized by this Mega Horn. This is definitely a good play.
Definitely a clever play from Dirt. Yeah, utility moves like Flash are often slept on, but in fights like these, it can definitely be your key to making it through. So here we're starting to see that pay off, although, unfortunately, the Furret did manage to land a hit even after 2 flashes, so... So yeah, Dirt will start setting up those X defense so he can survive these hits.
Yeah, he needs to set up at least probably 3 before he stops getting more than half his health taken off on a single Mega Horn, which is the site that he's looking for. That speed drop is really bad, by the way. He just remembered to use his guard spec. So that's good at least. But he's at -2 speed, which means that he's opened himself up to getting outsped and one-shot by a Pokemon later in the fight.
But luckily for him, it seems like he has plenty of XPs to get him back up to
Yeah,
speed. So.
I think he'll probably X defend up to max, and then X. No, he's just gonna straight up X speed now. Okay, I would have X specialed up and then taken out the Furret and then done the X speeds on the next Pokemon. But I suppose he does have 2 flashes out, so this does make sense. Strife is still chugging along. He's getting the Rock Smash check over in Burnt Tower, but there's the Psychic, so now he's going for his sweep. He just needs to outspeed in one-shot everything left, and given his moveset, he's got the coverage for it.
And luckily, the Sam is a very fast Pokemon, so not many things will be us beating the Sam.
Yeah, I think he's got this. It's just so rough that Strife didn't find Fly, because it just put him so far behind.
Yeah, not having Fly does limit your movement options a lot, so...
And there we go. Durst has made it through. Final time, official racetime.gg time for Durf was 2 hours, 58 minutes, and 4 seconds. Congratulations to him.
Definitely not a bad time at all, considering he is very close to 100%ing the seed.
Absolutely. He did almost everything that there was to do.
So, yeah, it looks like we'll be having Dirts on for the interview, and...
Hello.
Yeah, welcome, and congratulations to your win, Dirts.
Thank you.
Yeah, what was that seed?
It was terrible. Holy cow.
It started so good. Super Rod in Union Cave is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I got really lucky finding the Alakazam. I don't know what Strife means.
So Strife found a Ghastly, and he took it all the way to Gengar, and he's still using it now.
Okay. But oh man, the hunt for Fly was ridiculous. Holy cow.
Oh yeah, that was one of the roughest locations for Fly that I've seen.
It was what, behind Cut, which was behind Rocket, Radio Tower for Hive Badge, and then
10 Tower for the HM, which
Yeah.
is behind Rocket Underground for the Feather.
which Surf was behind delivering the Kenya. Oh my god.
And
rebuttal on Rising Badge check. It just kept getting worse. I was like, alright, I've narrowed down Fly to 2 checks, and then I got the Squirt Bottle, and I was like, oh no. Never mind.
Funny thing is that I managed to call both the Squirt Bottle being one of those 3 checks to open up North Johto, and I called the location of HMO2 itself. So I feel kind of clever.
There weren't too many places for it left. So
Yeah.
it was something. Yeah, that Alakazam was really good.
You survived, and isn't that what matters?
Barely.
That Alakazam was really good, by the way. Ice Beam, and then you had a Spark, and you got Surf and a Psychic TM.
Yeah, I saw the Psychic TM and I was like, oh man, this is pretty strong. So that was fun.
Yeah, that was a fantastic final Pokemon, and you had it since Union Cave.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was funny that Claire and the basement key led nowhere. I was annoyed by that because the machine part wasn't required. It was annoying.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. We I didn't even notice that it didn't give anything. We just were sitting there looking at it. It's like, oh, it's Claire and the basement key. Okay, that makes sense. Well, that's what we're gonna have to do.
But yeah, I had to do so many like save and resets because all the fly checks were nothing. And that was just a pain.
Yeah, you showed off a couple of techniques that I didn't know were a thing, so I learned some stuff this run.
Oh, like what?
The super rod being level 40s I was not aware of.
Oh yeah.
Also, the poking your head out of the southwest Whirl Islands door so that you set your escape route point so you could get to Inwood faster. Wouldn't have thought of that either.
I think I stole that from Dimnix, but yeah, it's a pretty good strat. I was annoyed having to do all the places in the dark. I don't normally do Whirl Islands in the dark, so I was kind of not used to that.
Yeah, it's crazy how linear this seed was, because it was a sub 3 hour seed for you, and I think that you didn't even get to a point in which like you had the choice to do stuff until like 2 hours in.
I feel like I did, because I feel like everything just led nowhere. Like I had a lot to do, but it just didn't lead anywhere.
Fair.
Yeah, it seems.
I meant more like there was one path forward where, like, if you had path A and path B, path A led you forward and path B led to a dead end, and then path A would lead to paths C and D, and C would lead you forward and D would lead to a dead end.
And I just chose all the dead ends.
Yeah, and you didn't even get to a point in which you had access to, like, well, I have these 7 paths I can go, and a couple of them have stuff. Like, you didn't even get to that point until you had Surf, Waterfall, Whirlpool, and Strength, and it's just like it took forever to get there. It was really funny.
Yeah, it was good getting like I did the lighthouse check before Mortar and got Waterfall there, which was convenient. I thought also funny. Fog Badge was vanilla.
Oh
and
yeah.
Snorlax was vanilla.
Yeah, we saw that too. There was a lot of what kind of randomizers in the chat.
Yeah. And that seed was or something. I don't know if I don't know what the other main possibilities would have been on the cycling road, but the super rod just made it so much easier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was probably the one saving grace of this run. That. Yeah, like, let us have a sub 3 finish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, without the super rod showing up when it did, this race was going to go at least another 20 or 30 minutes, I would guess.
I felt like I had like missed fly for like a while. The guy was like, "Oh, Strife probably is fly," and I'm seeing now that he doesn't even have it yet. It's just
No.
The placement is so rough.
It is the worst fly I have ever seen in one of the games, and I'm not kidding. It is just straight up the worst fly I have ever seen. Especially because there was a lot of like go all the way to one side of the map and then run to the other side of the map. You had to do that like 4 times.
Yeah. Yep. Oh man.
Yeah, all things considered, I was pretty impressed by the pretty efficient pathing of some of those clever tricks that Glacial had mentioned. Actually, one of which that I wasn't even aware of, which is you can enter Fuchsia City through the south.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what's the flag for that, by the way? Because I didn't know that was a thing either. Like, neither of us knew that you could do that.
I don't know. I don't think it's Snorlax. It might be like entering like palette or something. I'm not sure what the flag is, but I knew I could do it. Like I know if you can get to Blaine, like you can get to Fuchsia that way. Because I save reset over Janine, and I was like, oh crap, I don't have the fly point.
Yeah, Chad actually had to tell us that because neither of us remembered. I'm gonna have to remember all of these tricks for our race, and then I'm still gonna get beat horribly.
Well, hey, if we get fly in the first 20 minutes, then you don't even need to do half of them. So
I mean, that's fair. I signed up to commentate this race completely not even realizing that it was you two. Like I just saw the time slot that I'm free. Let's go ahead and do it. And then oh. There was an exchange in the green room where we were like, I think both of these guys have done their first race already. Let me check the results. And I'm like, these names are familiar. I know I've seen them I've seen them somewhere before. Right. There are other races against me. Whoops.
Yeah, I think we're on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, we're on Wednesday, and I face Strife on Sunday.
Right.
Vishal knows all the tricks in the book. And
I
of course, if there is a way for Glacial to inject Fog Bash into Morty again,
I'm sure Strife was not happy about that.
I am pretty sure too, because he was skirting around Morty for the longest time before he finally decided to do it.
Yeah. He got there eventually, but by then he was just so far behind.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he take the boat soon?
He did not. He found the squirt bottle a little while after you, and then he went the same way you did, where he just woke up the soda window.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but he went all the way to Lake of Rage and did the check just north of the guardhouse, and then all the way back to Olivine, and then even went back to the Kenya turn-in, and then finally did Morty.
Gotcha. Oh,
That-
yeah,
And it works. It works a lot of the time. Morty is generally not required, but on the seeds it is. It's kind of rough.
I had a feeling because we didn't have 7 badges yet that Tin Tower was gonna be required, and I think we had Clear Bell or one of them at that point.
Yeah, you had Clear Bell, and you found the rainbow wing in Rocket.
In Hideout, I think, yeah.
Hideout. Yeah, that's what it was.
So I was like, there's no real downside to doing Morty because I'm still searching for Fly, which is why I did Kimonos after, I think, Tin Tower.
I think you did it a little bit later. Like, you
Yeah.
did a couple of other checks first, and then you came back for it. But yeah, you did end up doing kimonos.
Yeah, the only checks I had left was Route 4 and the Elite 4. So...
Yeah, we were speculating that it was going to be Elite 4 seed, and then you managed to find Flash on Brock, and
Yeah.
and it was like, okay, well, it's probably going to be in the Flash Chamber, right? And it was Flash Chamber and the Miracle Seed guy were your last.
Yeah.
It's like, oof.
Probably the best we could have wished for at that position.
Yeah. Hey, news though, it looks like Strife is finally heading over to find his fly.
Let's go.
Or he may go up to Rock Tunnel, possibly. Or actually, no, he's going to head down, so he will
Yeah.
finally discover... Oh, he's going to save.
He's saving so he can save more, but not.
Mhm.
He's going to be... Oh, I've done that so many times. That's so easy.
I hit a few optionals, and I'm sure you noticed I paused for a second. I just like really had to go to the bathroom for like 2 hours. So
We were wondering what that was.
yeah, I figured I had a decent lead because Alakazam was so good, but I guess I was more far ahead than I thought. Oh, he hit another one. Oof.
Yeah.
Yes. Unfortunately for Strivia, he did hit quite a handful of optionals this run.
Mm.
I'd imagine, like, with how the item checks are progressing, maybe he fell behind when the nerfs got to him, because I know I've hit optionals in my races too, but that I normally don't, and I'm sure, yeah, the pressure
Yeah,
is pretty immense.
I hit like the Bug Catcher south of Pewter. I hit the Pokemaniac and Union Cave. I know I hit those two. I hit the wrong person.
There we go. Strive finds Fly.
And he's got it. Yeah. It's rough that it took him this long, but at least he got there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it's so easy to hit an optional if you're not if you're not super confident and like very well practiced with your moves. It's just so easy to do. And even when I know what I'm doing, I'll occasionally crash face first into an optional that I've never hit before. Or because I botch my movement just a little bit, or my controller eats an input. Because I play with a PS5 controller.
Yeah, I play with PS4 controller. And it happens sometimes for sure.
It looks like Strife is gonna push through to the end of this one, though.
Yeah.
Which, I respect that. So I gotta ask, when you had your last 2 checks available were Kenya and the Rising Badge turn-in, were you thinking to yourself, okay, well, Fly's got to be one of these, and then I can take the boat, or were you thinking to yourself, I bet you I'm about to find the squirt bottle?
I thought I was either going to get both Surf and Fog Badge, which would have been terrible too. Obviously, I got Surf, but I was really thinking it was Fly. Honestly, I was like, okay, there's not too much that could like make more checks for Fly, and obviously I got the one thing that opened the entire map, so
Yeah.
not correct.
We were kind of contemplating at before you started to making the play to Kenya. We were kind of contemplating, I wonder if any of the runners might just skip those 3 checks entirely and just take the boat, figuring, well, there's 3 checks, and for it to be Fly, it would have to 2 of them would have to be the badge and the HM. So I'm just gonna go to Northern Johto and hope I find Fly there.
Yeah, that's a fair play. You're kind of betting on the squirt bottle being behind you, I guess. Then, yeah.
Yeah, and
Risky though.
Yeah, knowing what we know, that would have absolutely been the wrong play because you would have had to have taken the boat like 1,800 times.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like going, I wonder if this is a thing either of them might consider.
No, I was gonna exhaust every Fly possibility until I got it, and it just happened to take 2.5 hours to do that. So.
Yeah, it was very much a yikes.
Yeah. And actually, I forgot to do a pre-match interview with both you and Strife. So actually, I thought it might be good to maybe ask a few questions to just sort of make sure that I have sort of like the correct idea of you as a runner while Strife is making his way towards some of these checks. So at least during my time in the Cinco Bingo community, I noticed that you started racing with people actually fairly recently. So
Yeah.
So what is your exact experience with Pokemon and also these full item randomizers? Because my impression was that you have been doing full item randomizers only starting fairly recently.
Yeah, probably started in like November maybe. I did key item for a little while, and then I got like a really good time on key item, and I was like, all right, that's good enough. And I started doing full when like this was kind of announced. But like I've played Pokemon since I was a kid. I've gone to like nationals a couple times in VGC, which there's no requirement to go to nationals, but
I wish you hadn't said that. I was about to be very impressed. It's like,
yeah.
oh, wow, you're really good.
You can just show up at nationals. So I've played Pokemon for a long time. And, I've never really speedrun the game or anything. But I think this just offers a little more variety, I guess, than your typical speedrun,
Yeah.
Like, I get to reroute, like, constantly like this run, right? So, that was interesting.
Yeah, for sure. These really test your knowledge of everything in Crystal, from just which Pokemons will work or like what makes them work, and also just knowing where the items are and how long it takes to obtain those items. So
yeah.
Coming from Key Item Randomizer, you also have a couple of funny ideas about which checks are worth doing and which ones aren't as well, which is kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
Like some of the checks, like Elite Four and Kimono Girls, a lot more tempting in Key Item.
Yeah, and like all the West Side Kanto gym leaders are really fast checks in Key Item as well.
Yeah. So it's interesting to me that Strife has had Surf for so long. He just got Fly, and he's not at any point in time done the Surf checks in Violet City. At least I don't think.
There was a badge there, wasn't there?
There was
Pokegear.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and unless I missed it, I think he hasn't gone back yet. But he has Fly now, so I'm sure he'll go back there soon if he hasn't already and I missed another tracker.
Right.
Yeah. he's prioritizing doing the Kanto gym leaders, which is like a fair play to you. It's definitely a good idea.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you already did the hedge maze, you might as well do Misty, especially since you just did the machine part.
Yep, I think he's going to turn in the lost item at this point.
Yeah.
And actually, speaking of turning the lost item here, there was something that I wanted to ask you and Strife is, both of you actually decided to take on Jasmine before 7 badges, and I was actually curious to know...
Sabrina?
Sabrina, yeah.
My Alakazam was just strong enough. I was just like, I can do this. This should be easy. So I just did it.
It looks like Strife has just taken the DNF.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
okay, yeah.
We're gonna see about getting him in here in a minute.
So,
But yeah, we thought it was kind of funny that for the first little while, you two were literally doing the same checks at approximately the same time. You both did the entire southern Johto. You went back to Elm. You went up to Kanto. You did the fisherman check. Then you did Janine. Then you did Sabrina. Then you did the hedge maze. And it was just like you guys did the exact same thing at the exact same time. So we thought it was kind of funny. We'd love to get Strife in here to do an interview, but we're being given the hook at this point, so we're gonna have to wrap this up, unfortunately. So I just want to go ahead and I'll do the wrap up real fast. I just wanted to go ahead and say thank you to everyone who's watched. I want to say thank you to all the people who've been behind the scenes. Oh, hold up! It looks like we might be able to do an interview after all.
Yeah, let me just double check. Okay, yeah, because starting at 10:30, we do have a Super Mario Multi-World coming up, so I think, yeah, that's why we have to sort of speed this up. So let me see if I can contact Strife real quick. So at least he's aware that if he wants to do an interview, then we have to get
like, we're gonna do a real quick interview. I've got to know what was going on with the Ghastly.
Oh, yeah.
So, Durst, you couldn't see it, but one thing that we could not figure out, neither me nor William could figure out, was that Strife canceled his Ghastly's evolution 3 times.
Oh, what?
Including he caught it and he immediately used a rare candy on it, and then he canceled the evolution.
Maybe you wanted it to learn to move? I don't know.
We thought it was the same thing, but hey, Strife, commiserations to you. It was a good run.
I completely missed when you finished.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's okay. But yeah, that ROM sucked.
It really did.
Yeah.
And not just because of Morty.
Yeah, no, that seed was all over the place.
That was the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of minutes. We've got a couple of minutes for this closing interview. So we got to ask the most pressing question that I want to know, William wants to know, the chat wants to know. What was up with the Ghastly evolution?
What do you mean? You didn't believe in the Ghastly? Shame. The first 2 were honest mistakes, and then the third one was for the memes.
Oh my god.
Plus, I was resetting the experience that he got for that third one anyway.
Oh, I cannot believe Wungi was right about that. I genuinely he had said it was probably because resetting, and I'm like, I don't think so.
Wungi knows me so well. I mean, no, because like the third time I stopped the evolution was when I went to fight Janine, and I reset that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about the third one at that point, but I thought, like first one you probably pressed B, and then the second one was like, I could have pressed B again, trying to skip the tech, and then the third one I had no idea at that point, so it kept everyone crazy in chat, wanting to know what happened there.
And the whole time, me and chat were like, he's got to be doing this on purpose. There's some reason why he's doing this. I got to figure it out. Really?
And meanwhile, there's like 2 people, like 2 of my two viewers that watch me a lot sitting in my chat room, and so the second that I did that second B press, I just go into my stream chat and type "oops" and just leave.
God. Yeah, we're like, is he a level up move that he wants or something? No, you lose Gasly class level up move at 36. Like, oh my god, it was so we were so confused. So we gotta know, what do you think about that fly placement?
That was horrible.
It is the worst fly I have ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how late it was into the game that Dirts had it, but I didn't have it until like the 2.5 hour mark or something.
You had it at the 3 hour and 9 minute mark.
Oh,
Dirts
even
had it
worse,
at the
yeah.
2.5 hour mark.
Okay.
I got it at like 2:15-ish, I think.
That makes
After
sense.
exhausting so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew you were playing faster than me. Like, I'm so rusty right now. Still. What did you run?
Alakazam.
Oh, okay. Where'd you get that?
Right next to the super rod.
Yep.
Fished it up there.
Yep.
I fished up a Ghastly right there.
There's also a Slowbro, so.
Oh man.
It was very funny because we watch and the Ghastly has Thunderbolt and the Alakazam has Ice Beam, and we're like, well,
Oh, wow.
that's a whole Pokemon.
Yeah, that was definitely a wild start to the ROM.
Yeah, and then Morty was required, and I almost wanted to quit then. And in hindsight, I probably should have. My day would have gone much better.
I mentioned it before the race. It's like, if Morty's required, Strife's gonna have a problem. Very notoriously anti-Morty, and then it happened, and we're like, well, I feel bad now.
I mean, I will say, I don't know if you guys commented on this, but when I did Morty, he was the only check left that was still in logic.
Yeah.
Like, I do not want that to go over anybody's head. I did try.
Oh yeah, I definitely made a comment that you really stuck to your moral compass there. We were surprised you did Bugsy so early though. That was a surprise.
The only reason that I did Bugsy was because I had a level 40.
Yeah,
Like, I typically do like to skip level 40, especially like once I had the pass, I was like, okay, cool, Azalea's just gone. We're not worrying about it at all. And then I get Super Rod, and I'm like, wait, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this wrong?
Yeah, I said when you found the pass, it's like, well, Strife's going straight to him now.
Yeah, I know. It's so weird. Oh
And-
my gosh, Claire has the basement key? This
Yeah,
ROM's
It didn't matter, and unfortunately, yeah, I think it's about time for the next scheduled race to happen on SpeedGaming 3. So I think,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we're going to have to cut this interview short.
Yeah, no,
so-
I understand.
Okay.
So
No problem.
with that in mind, I just want to say thank you to all the people who work behind the scenes to make sure that the Speed Gaming channel is working, doing all the cropping, all the setting up, all the sending out the links, all that stuff. I want to thank both Durst and I want to thank Strife for having a great race. It was very entertaining, very funny. Great interviews at the end here. I would be thanking our trackers, except we don't have one, so I want to thank Woongi, who did pretty much all of the tracking for this race in addition to casting. I tried, and I just couldn't keep up with him. Every time I went to go track something, he already had it marked. I want to say thank you to everybody in chat who's hung around. I want to say please go and give literally everybody involved in this entire process a follow, and I want to say thank you all so much for watching, for spending time with us, for having interesting conversations in the chat. We really appreciate it. We couldn't have done it without you guys, okay?
And we'll be having a lot more of these tournament races coming up. Me and Glacial, I think, are racing, next Sunday?
We're racing Sunday. I'm racing Durst on Wednesday. I'm scared.
You shouldn't be. Not for me. Not for me, at least.
Yeah, so those will be two interesting races. So come back, hang out with us. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys.
Yeah, so
Anyway.
yeah, thank you everyone, and hope everyone has a great night.
Yep. We'll see you guys later. Stick around. I think up next, somebody already mentioned, was a Mario multi-world event of some kind. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a lot
Give
of
us
fun.
Pokemon Crystal Randomizer multi-world. Night,
Good
everybody.
PM. Or
Yeah.
Super Metroid, my apologies. A Super Metroid. I wasn't familiar with the abbreviation. And actually that makes a lot of sense. Actually. So
Okay, it's
That makes a
Metroid.
lot more sense.
Super
Yeah.
Metroids, multi-world. So yeah, if you do like watching Super Metroid or if you want to learn more about it, stick around for that broadcast. And with that, I'm Wungi signing off with Glacial here.
Bye.
Bye-bye.